All right, 1 2 1 2. This is Chris, the film school dropout.
Wait, you haven't started.
I know we haven't started. I'm just testing. I'm just getting my voice ready. 3,
2, 1. What's up, guys? Cape Seed Free here. Woo woo. And woo woo. There it is.
I'm feeling it.
We're doing a little bit of. We're doing a little bit of what's this called? Instagram story at the same time.
Yeah, little Insta story. We call it Insta story.
Does that mean it expires after 24 hours on Instagram? I'm not sure how any of these.
That's called a Snapchat.
We're old.
This is why I'm not the social media manager for this group.
That's different from snapping.
I don't know. I didn't even know the difference between an @and a hashtag. So
he tried to tag Cape Seed Free. He just said hashtag Cape Seed Free. Use the @ What am I doing? That's what I'm doing.
I'm learning.
Today, guys, we're doing Blade, 1998 Blade, and interesting enough, today happens to be Chad.
Okay, today is August 21st, 2018, which it was 20 years ago today that this movie Blade was released into theaters in the U.S. Pretty cool. Exactly the 20th anniversary.
And we had no idea.
And actually, I believe the first screening was at 8:20 p.m., which it is now. Okay, I can't confirm.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, we'll pretend.
Maybe I'm messing with that one a little bit.
So obviously this one's pre-recorded.
So we're here in the makeshift studio for Cape Seed Free. We'll call this 4 guys on the couch for now, but soon
what it is.
We'll have the studio. What are we drinking today, Chad?
We're drinking Stone Scorpion Bowl IPA. It's got a cool logo on the front with like a devil with horns, and I don't know. It's got a punch to the stinger. It says it's pretty good though. It's really good stuff. I think Martin, you're the one who picked this up in the store, so I don't know what your reasoning was behind that. If you want to let us know.
Yeah, there was just very limited cartoon character or comic book character beers that were out there this time around, so I picked up the closest one I could find to have anything remotely do with an animal and or a mammal or a comic book character.
Well, we we realized Scorpion is a Spider-Man villain, so in the Marvel universe, so maybe someday there'll be a Scorpion Blade crossover event. Who knows?
One time.
Maybe he did in the comics.
Maybe there was.
Collector.
What do you want to know? I'm so just confused by
Did
what I'm
Scorpion and Blade ever fight in the comics?
No, but I actually brought a comic today where a Marvel villain did fight Blade. So you're
excellent segue.
Let's segue. That's pretty good.
It's gonna be a little interesting when I whip out this bad boy.
Well, let's whip it out.
Oh, you're ready? Okay.
The comic.
Hide your kids. Hide your wives.
We did mean the comic. Yes. All right, everybody. So what I bring to you here is Adventure into Fear 24 from 1977. And it is the first ever time that Blade fights Morbius. Morbius is a major villain in the Amazing Spider-Man universe. His first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man 101. Very key book, very expensive. This, on the other hand, not so much, but still a cool book. Pass this guy around. Cool cover, early key, kind of verse appearance.
Very cool.
So what year was this?
77, I believe.
77.
Wow.
Okay.
Very cool. I like his green pants.
Yeah. This doesn't look like the Blade of now. He's wearing a brown overcoat and green pants.
Blade of tomorrow.
Like green sunglasses on.
Yesteryear's
very
Blade.
cool. This is great.
Awesome. Well, guys, with that said, let us go ahead and get into this episode that happened. This synchronicities, guys. Synchronicities. The universe is saying we're doing what we should be doing. Got junkie.
We didn't actually introduce ourselves yet. Are we supposed to do that at the top of each show? I don't know.
Right.
I'm thrown off.
I'm thrown off because we got straight into things.
Yeah, we did. We're not wasting any time.
All right, guys. Well, video out.
Video out.
And we are ready to start this podcast. This is Martin, aka The Thought Junkie. What's up, guys? Next to me, I have
Chad, the resident movie nerd.
Oh, Chris first.
Chris first, apparently.
Chris first.
The
That's Chris
film
first.
school dropout.
Yeah.
Ryan the Collector with, by the way, a little note of change. I think it was 73, not 77 for Adventure in the Fear 24. So I screwed the
Wow,
pooch on
and
that
we
one.
called him the collector.
He's the collector.
Hey, he still has the
He has the goods.
the comic, which is great.
I just
Which
don't
is
know
awesome.
anything about it.
I was just
Apparently.
watching Infinity War today, and the collector had a little bit of fun with Thanos.
Let's not talk about that.
Wasn't the collector dead by that point in the movie, and it was Thanos just like recreating him using the Reality Stone?
This
Or-
is true. Well, hold on. I'm not 100% sure that.
Spoiler
Benicio
alert,
del
also for
Toro's
Infinity War.
character
Spoiler
was
alert,
actually
spoiler.
dead.
We don't know if he was dead.
You don't.
but-
Yeah.
He
Where you
could've
can
looked at
I
us.
think that whole place got. Where was that on? Is that nowhere?
That was
Yeah,
nowhere.
but
Yeah, it
just,
looks
just,
pretty
Just
destroyed.
like with the original beginning scene where we know for a fact now that half of the ship got away in Thor's ship, I think it's reasonable to believe that a lot of people could have gotten away from nowhere before Thanos got there or destroyed.
I'm done with the MCU if Korg is dead.
Korg is not dead. There's no way
Alright.
Korg is dead.
Sorry for spoilers,
Korg
guys.
is very
Korg's
impressive.
my favorite.
Well, technically they're not spoilers because the movie came out a gazillion years ago, so it's fine.
I think maybe the best line in Thor Ragnarok is "Piss off, Ghost." It's the best. And then he runs up and tries to kick. Tries to kick where Loki was. I love it. I love it.
74. Did you already do a reprint? 74 was the comic you were talking about.
Yes,
Oh,
1974.
it's 1974. Not
October 1974.
Gotcha.
not
All right,
77,
I got that straight
73,
this
like
time
the
around.
first
Let's,
two times he said it.
Hey, you want to
I'm
hit us
not
with a-
perfect. I'm not going to get everything right every time.
All right,
but,
so
you know.
we are. Yeah, we're gonna
Somebody
watch
wanna hit us
Blade.
with a
I
countdown?
haven't watched this movie probably 15 years or something. So
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it.
I'm
in a
excited to
while.
revisit this. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So we're starting from 0, 3, 2, 1. Chris already started.
On the 20th anniversary of the
this one go.
movie.
Little warning. There may be some kickbacks, some stops. Occasionally with this DVD's a little old, so it's had some love to it.
Oh, man.
I love the red studio
The
logos.
New Line Cinemas.
Now,
Yeah,
New Line
now
Cinema.
at the time this movie came out, New Line Cinema was kind of known for. I mean, they did some genre stuff like the Ninja Turtles movies, the live action ones, but they were kind of known for their comedies around this time, like Rush Hour and I don't know, things like that. And actually, New Line originally wanted to turn this movie into like a spoof, kind of like a comedy at the time, and they fought
Wow.
back against that.
No,
So,
they
wow.
didn't.
yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
1967. Here we open up. This is the birth of Blade, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to be hard for me to comment on this movie because I haven't seen this movie in ages. Probably like 15 years.
And this here
Yeah, me
is
too.
why can't I remember?
Chris or Chad, who's this actress?
This is from Scandal. What's her name?
That is not Kerry Washington.
Carrie
No,
Washington.
no,
No,
it's
it's not.
not.
Carrie
It's
Washington.
It's not Carrie
It's
Washington.
not.
Don't ask me.
It is
Apparently,
not.
I don't
It
get
is
this
not.
right.
Actually, I think it may be Judy Greer.
No, it's not Judy Greer. I realize Judy Greer is not an X-Men. If you have listened to our X-Men podcast,
No, of course, no.
I'm actually pretty sure he's right. I think that is Carrie Washington.
This is
Nah.
a famous actress.
no, it's
it was
You guys have these
No,
things
I don't
called
believe
pocket
so.
phones, pocket computers.
now Martin. What?
Oh, that's right. It's Statham. It's
Jason-
Lana Statham.
Lena.
Lena.
Oh, Lena.
Sana. It's something.
Sana?
It's something
No.
odd.
Sanaya Lathan. My
There
bad.
you
It's
go.
Sanaya Lathan.
We got it, guys. We got it for
Now,
you podcast
now, Martin.
listeners.
The opening
No.
of this movie. What
She was a
other
favorite of
superhero
mine.
movie does this opening scene remind you of? That right there.
Unbreakable.
Right. Exactly. Starting with
That's
the
Martin's
birth.
favorite movie.
No, Unbreakable's not. It's The Village, my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, I thought it was
Wow.
The Last Tomb Raider or something like that.
Airbender.
Wow.
The last.
No. The last two.
The last two.
This is why I'm not the movie guy, people.
So, all right. So, 98.
Now
Look
is
at these
now
cuts.
okay. That was I just gotta say that was a little confusing because they did now like present day in the same exact font as all the actors. It looks like there's somebody named
Yeah,
Now
somebody named
starring
Now.
in this movie.
So, they superimposed the word now on the screen to
Yeah.
let us know that
It's
we're
a
now
lot.
in the present.
By the way, I just want to throw in, because it's the beginning of the movie Blade, so I just want to get it in there quick. First appearance of Blade in a comic book was 1973, Tomb of Dracula 10, and the cover has a beautiful blue overlay with Blade fighting Dracula. So I just want to let that be known.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that's interesting about there's a name,
Sanaa
Sanaa Lathan.
Sanaa
Yes,
Lathan.
yes. About New Line Cinema doing this is think about it, this is a Marvel movie, and New Line now, which is kind of owned by Warner Brothers, which does all the DC movies. And this is like probably one of the, it's interesting that they were releasing Marvel movies back then.
Who here does not love this song right here? I mean, this
seems
techno
like,
song.
This techno song. This is very this is very Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
Yes,
very
it
Mortal
is.
Kombat.
I remember my mom did not want me to watch this movie. I was 98. I was probably in the 6th grade. All I remember is WWF. What was happening in WWF? I'll be able to tell you how old I was. I think Kane and Undertaker were big, so I was in the 7th grade.
That sounds about right, actually.
Sounds about right? And I remember my mom telling me, this movie is a little bit graphic, so if you're going to watch it, just know that. And this is the same woman who didn't let me stay up past 10 to watch the second half of WWF. So I think my mom knew that this was one of the first African-American lead comic book, characters out there. So I think she then gave me she said, go ahead and watch it. Which is kind of cool. Thanks, Mom. If that was your reasoning, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say, I think this may be my favorite comic book movie before Iron Man 1 came out.
Really?
I will say it is.
I can't explain it. There's just something about this movie, the artsy text, like the way it's shot, the music, the acting, like everything about it's just so cool. I love and Wesley Snipes, man, he's just badass in this. He kills it.
No, I love this Blade. Me and my brother used to watch this all the time. Actually, the first one, the first and second one we loved.
Yeah.
Third one, but
Trinity, gotta deserve some love to Trinity.
Now, Stan Lee's name just came up on the screen as executive producer. This was actually the first theatrically released U.S. movie that Stan Lee produced.
Really?
Wow.
Oh wow.
He had produced that there was a terrible Captain America film made in about 1990, which only got released theatrically in Europe and only got released on video and pay-per-view, I think, in the U.S. And he produced that, and then he had produced some of the animated things, from earlier in the 90s.
Yeah.
But this was the first U.S. Film he produced, and now look at him. It's crazy.
Wow. A couple notes really quick. So we just saw Steven Dorff's character. He plays Deacon Frost in the movie, so his first appearance was Tomb of Dracula 45, 1976. So he came out 3 years after the comic was originally... When Blade's first appearance came out. I guess he was an integral villain. I know he's definitely a good one. But one more thing I want to note is Marv Wolfman, great editor from the early 70s from Marvel Comics. He wrote this comic, and then G. Colin, which they did give praise to him as well in the original credits, was the artist for it. So.
Oh. Got it. I love having Ryan here.
I do want to say this.
It's like Carrie.
In his first scenes, we see that this guy's being escorted by Tracy Lords, who at this time, it was before, if you know her, she was a porn star.
Right.
A young porn star. And this is the time when she was starting to go mainstream. Porn stars usually don't go mainstream.
Yes.
So she started doing these feature films, and this is like one of the big name feature films that she
It's true.
was in.
Able to transition.
Yeah.
By the way, I've met Marv Wolfman many times. Really great guy. Very pleasant to meet at the convention. So if you get a chance, definitely meet him. Really interesting to talk to.
Me who? Sorry.
Marv Wolfman.
Oh, Marvel. Okay.
Speaking of Marvel producing movies and everything, actually, do you know this is the first live action Marvel theatrically released film they had done since Howard the Duck?
Whoa.
Which was in 1986, which was 12. Wow. And Howard the Duck obviously was a failure on many different levels, critically, commercially. That's why they stayed away from like major like higher budget theatrical movies until this movie. And just think how far Marvel came.
Oh, they got it right.
Since then.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's
this is very
intro.
Constantine.
I guess how does that feel?
Yeah.
Oh man, this is such an awesome entrance. They did everything great about this movie. I mean, the intro.
So badass.
Yeah.
Who could have played Blade better than Wesley
at this time?
I can't think of anyone.
Apparently, some of the choices were Denzel Washington.
I can see that.
Oh yeah.
And I think LL Cool J, I think, was considered for this.
I could see that.
I could see
and not this time. Actually, I mean, I could see Denzel doing it because he can do, but no, a Denzel Blade. Oh no, he's not this cool.
Wesley definitely owns the character better than I think anyone.
Because we know about his martial arts background too,
Correct.
which makes him perfect for this.
I'd say that was a bit improvised. I don't recall the original. I'm almost positive the original Blade. I don't think there's a martial arts element to him. I mean, the original cover is him holding just like a steak, and it seems very.
There goes Tracy Lord.
I'd say he was probably a good fighter. I think Wesley brought his own thing into this more than anything else with his fighting ability.
Yeah, he brought the martial arts into it.
This is '98, so that stuff was big.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Matrix. Was
this is
not
a
too
year.
far after.
This is a year before the Matrix. Yeah, but there's a lot of Matrix vibes with the all black, the sunglasses, the kind of martial arts aspect. Yeah,
the music too.
Yeah. The rave kind of. That's very like Matrixy too. You know.
Yeah.
And this is the time where like he started becoming this big action star, because before he was only doing dramas. He was doing Spike Lee movies. Wesley.
No, he did a Demolition
No.
Man.
This is his time when he became a star. This wasn't his first one,
right.
but this is the time like he actually got big.
Yeah.
And that's why he had so much control over this thing, because at the time he was one of the big
Was he an A-lister?
black action stars. At the time, yes.
Okay.
Well, he had been talking to Marvel Studios about a potential Black Panther movie.
Yes.
And this was like over 20 years ago. You know, this shows you how long it took Black Panther to get to the screen. But that's why he had already been kind of talking to Marvel, and he was actually unfamiliar with this character, I believe, at the time until he learned more about it. And he just thought it would be badass to be able to do this stuff. Obviously, he's doing it right now. It looks pretty badass doing it. So, I mean, I can see why he took the role. Speaking of the Matrix, like Lawrence Fishburne was also a potential name they had thrown out there to possibly play Blade as well.
So we just saw kind of a prevalent villain in this movie. This guy right here, Donald Lago, who plays Quinn. Can anyone tell me what other Marvel movie he was in?
Ghost Rider.
Correct.
He's now on Gotham.
He's on Gotham.
He switched over to DC.
Right.
Yeah, so clearly he's a fan of the superhero stuff and the comic book things.
Well, that's the only where he gets.
Or he gets typecast. That's all. We don't know.
Regardless, I do like him a lot. He kind of looks like he could be a country star.
Well, he's pretty versatile. He does a lot of comedy. I mean, he was been in really dramatic TV shows and movies, obviously, but he had like that show, I remember, Grounded for Life on Fox, like back in 2003.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yes.
He's been in other comedies as well, so he does a lot of different things.
No, he's a versatile actor. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I don't know whose beer that is, but
I don't know either. It was yours. It was sitting here.
I'm still drinking our beer from today, or from earlier. Thank you, Stone. So what are we watching now, Chris?
This is when he checks the victim for bites.
I just want to sit and watch this, but I can't.
For this part... Oh, go.
No, as I say, for Blade, this is when the vampires are kind of like stay in the dark. So all vampire stuff is underground. So by the time police show up, it's just weird crime scenes. Yeah. Blade disappears, all the vampires disappear. This is before in the story, before they decide to go public. So it's all underground.
Apparently, in that scene right there, all the cops show up. Stan Lee had filmed a cameo as one of the police officers, but got cut from this movie. So that could have continued his. That would have. I mean, maybe that would have started his streak. I'm not sure where his streak started in Marvel movies. We saw him in he appeared in X-Men as the hot dog vendor, which was 2 years after this. Right. But I don't know. Does he have a cameo in Howard the Duck? Does anybody know? Not really.
I don't know.
Probably doubtful, but I don't know. You know.
Did he have a cameo in the Punisher, the Tom Jane Punisher?
That was after this. Yeah, I don't know. That was 2004, maybe.
Yeah, we'll do that this season. That's coming. Yeah. That'll probably be our last film that we do as Punisher.
Looking forward to that. I haven't seen that in a while.
I haven't seen that in years either.
I know. Dude, I just love the lighting in this.
Cinematography is great in this movie.
Anybody know who the cinematographer was?
I'll tell you.
I don't know that one off the top of my head. I know they probably showed his name earlier too, but it's escaping me at the moment.
It was. I have to say, as a young black kid watching this, I was just so enamored by these characters, because for us there wasn't necessarily, we didn't have too much representation on television back then that I kind of clung to. We had the smart guy, and then we had Going Mr. Cooper, but like nothing like this, nothing like what Blade did for us.
Well, yes, this is a big, high budget at the time mainstream movie, which doesn't come out. I mean, you see how long it took Black Panther to come to the screen,
Right.
And back at the time, this was groundbreaking. And the fact that it was successful is the reason he got 2 more sequels.
Right.
And you have to remember, Blade, going back to the history just behind the comic itself, I mean, he was not the first black superhero, but he was an very early Black Superhero, being in 73.
Yeah.
He didn't come out very long after Black Panther did, and I think around 67, 68 maybe.
Yeah.
So, he definitely meant a lot to the early Marvel diversity in the universe and just creating more heroes than, just kind of the cliche white male person.
Yeah, so what you're saying is we should give Stan Lee a diversity award.
Oh, yeah. If anybody. Oh, by the way, the cinematographer was Theo Van de Sande. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Theo Van de Sande.
Okay.
I wonder what he did.
So.
Yeah, I'm surprised too with the success of this. I mean, obviously, like you said, it spawned sequels, but it didn't like help fast track Black Panther or anything.
Yeah.
No,
it took another 20 years for Black Panther to make it to the screen.
This is true. And what you can equate that to, I have no idea.
Well, it's funny because, the Trinity Blade 3 wasn't as successful in the movie theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
And literally just because of that, I mean, you got 2 sequels, but after that, there was no other ones. I mean...
What is the longevity of the Blade character? Do you know, Ryan? Or, excuse me, Collector?
Longevity in the sense of... Like, from the comic book standpoint? Or?
Yeah, is this storyline still going at the moment? Are there still comics being made?
It's a good question. I don't recall anything recently. They kind of stick to the biggies you'll find nowadays from whatever, like the X-Men and...
Yeah.
I think they're going to bring Fantastic Four back now into the comic book universe in the modern comic. I don't remember... he's a bit of a less integral character in the Marvel Universe, so you don't see him too often. But he's definitely had a lot of comics in various series. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I don't think there's anything currently, but please feel free to comment and let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah. How does Blade always note it? How does he always show up where he's needed, like right at the right time? So far, he's just kind of like showed up. And
I will say in this scene, he left that guy burning. He didn't. kill him.
Okay.
It was still Donald Long. He left him burning, so he probably followed it.
I do like when the police shoot at him and he goes, "You out of your damn mind!"
Yeah,
like
that was the first time.
I was just gonna say that wouldn't work if he was like a white superhero. I'm just saying that works because it's
Kevin
Wesley
James
Snipes,
saying
and you know what I mean. Like, it's great. Yeah.
So that was 14. I just looked at the time. 14 minutes in, we don't have our first actual dialogue from our main character until about 14 minutes in.
Actually, he did speak. He said one-liner when he was talking
to Quinn.
When he was talking to whatever Donnell.
I mean, the effect of the things burning up and disappearing and stuff are pretty cool, but some of it is looking a little dated, VFX wise. Actually, that shot of him jumping into the building looked pretty good. But some of the CG, there was like when the the arm disappeared before. But,
I think this is. I mean, maybe but I think the special effects in this movie were well.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, especially when you get into the second one, you have more practical stuff because Guillermo del Toro. Obviously, there's a lot of practical creature effects, which are.
But I will say some of those ash burn is very. I mean, they look similar to.
Yeah, no, they're not terrible.
To other recent ones. Spoiler alert!
Too bad.
But. With the other Avenger Marvel movies, but
when that guy fell into the ambulance there, and all you charcoal dark, and all you see is the white eyes, that's scary.
It is. That's freaky. Now that's probably practical makeup and everything, which is kind of crazy. So this movie was all actually shot in L.A., in downtown L.A.,
really?
Long Beach. Wow. And the sets were actually built not too far from where we're recording this. We're recording this in Tarzana. It's actually these. They shot at an old factory in Canoga Park for the sets, which is a little bit northwest of here. But yeah, I believe. Now, does this movie take place in? Okay, this is New York. Oh, are we seeing? Is that one of the? Is it supposed to be New York or L.A.?
I believe
it's supposed to be. Or is it New Orleans?
Actually,
they go to New Orleans?
I don't think it's New Orleans.
Sorry, I haven't really been following that. I haven't watched this movie in a really long time.
We'll have to check up on that later.
Well, I know where it was filmed. I'm just trying to figure out where it's supposed to
the
take
character
place,
has a lot of comics in New York. If I'm wrong, yeah, he was a New York based character.
No, doesn't it? I think part of this does take place in New Orleans because doesn't there like a voodoo? There's some stuff like that involved later in this movie.
I think he travels at some point.
Yeah, maybe he travels to New Orleans. Yeah,
I think it might be at the end.
But it's kind of cool to see a gritty stuff shot in downtown LA. It's kind of like I think they use some of the same buildings like from Seven, the David Fincher movie, which was about 3 years before this.
Yeah. Before you get into Whistler, who just showed up on screen, Sanja Milkovic Hayes was the costume designer for this, who also did The Mummy and Total Recall. Recently, the Star Trek Beyond, Independence Day. So,
which mummy? Brendan Fraser mummy or Tom Cruise mummy?
this is Brendan Fraser.
Oh, okay, makes
Team
sense.
of the Dragon Empire.
Dragon Emperor. That was the third one, I believe. Okay.
Fourth one, maybe? I don't remember. You could be the third one.
Oh no. Well, if you're counting Scorpion King, then it was the fourth one.
Talk about Whistler. Who's this guy?
Chris Christopherson.
Whistler was he in the comics?
No, Whistler. I think Ryan can attest to this. I think his first appearance was actually in the animated Spider-Man TV show in I think 1994. Really? So 4 years before this, and he was created for that show. And Marvel liked the character so much, I think he then got incorporated into the comic book storylines, and then he made it into the movie. So
Correct.
All that in a period of 4 years from his first appearance.
And what's interesting is that you do not see that happen very often. There's some hair in my mouth. The only two times
from Thanos.
Sorry. Okay. The only two times I can really think about that happening are now, and then with Harley Quinn, who was also in the animated series before she got her own comic book. So taking an element from essentially an animated series and incorporating it into another medium, you don't see that happen too often, so it's interesting.
Is there any X-Men characters that originated in the animated series that I wouldn't know because I haven't watched that?
Or the Batman animated series. I don't believe so.
Or the Batman.
Well, Harley Quinn, you said, was Batman animated series.
We also found out Chad has not seen Batman, the animated series.
Nope.
God,
no, what?
Well, so just so everyone's aware, so Blade, known as Eric Brooks, that's his actual real name, the character, he was born in London, England.
In the comics, right? He's like British, Isn't he supposed to be a lot older?
1929.
Wesley Snipes, British.
Second a little.
Obviously, he's a vampire, so he doesn't age very much, but yeah.
That's like Harlem Renaissance era.
Well, I mean, when he debuted in 1973, he would have been in his, late 40s or something?
Yeah, late 40s, early 50s, yeah, exactly.
So he's the Tom Brady of superheroes? Is that what you're saying?
Never ages and stays agile and successful for a long, long time.
Except when he misses passes.
Well, let's not. let's not talk about that. Let's not get into that.
I just realized two of our main characters. You didn't see this very often. This is an African American led movie. Like we talk about, Think Like a Man and all those films that came out recently and the success that they had. But I don't think, what did the NAACP say about Blade? You know what I mean? I want to go back and look at.
Do you think they actually said something about Blade?
Well, not said something, but was Blade up for nominations for anything?
Oh, for their awards. Yeah.
Actually, that's probably an interesting check.
Has
I don't know.
NAACP awards already happened, or the nominees with Black Panthers? I'm not sure what the award cycle
February.
is.
The cycle starts in now, actually.
Oh, so obviously it's going to win every single award, right? Probably this year. Yeah, because you used to work those award shows, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, I actually have the awards up for this movie if anyone wants to know.
Yes.
So, please. I mean, you want me there's unique ones. You want me to go through all of them?
Let's do it.
All right. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, USA, 1999. Nominee for a Saturn Award.
Saturn.
Won the ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards in 99.
What?
Winner and nominee of the Blockbuster Entertainment Awards for Favorite Actor and Favorite Villain. It won for those for Wesley and Steven in 99.
Good for them.
And was a nominee for Favorite Supporting Character for Chris Christopherson. Golden Trailer
Wesley.
Awards nominee, 99. Best Action, Best Editing. Motion Picture Sound Editors USA 99 was a nominee. MTV Movie and TV Awards, one for Best Villain for Steven Dorff and nominee for Best Fighting for Wesley Snipes. And the last one, the Stinkers Bad Movie Award in 1998. Nominee for the Stinker Award, Wesley Snipes Worst Actor.
Ooh.
I find that really hard to believe.
I have hard to believe too, even then.
His performance in this was
Wesley Snipes was good.
unbelievable.
Wesley Snipes was hot in the 90s, big,
Yeah.
his career, and then he got into all the weird, tax evasion stuff for a little bit. He's still popping up in stuff, so he's still doing stuff
Nick
now.
Cage had some things in common.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
except for Wesley went to jail.
Yeah, right. That's true.
So Whistler got a nom for supporting. That's interesting that he wasn't even a character in the world of Blade.
Nope.
He was in Spider-Man, but then he got a nom because, I mean...
No,
that
Chris
was a good choice on him.
Christopherson's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a great performance.
Why do we think we liked him so much? Because I guess he's
He's
that father figure
Yeah, he's the father figure.
Yeah.
that Blade doesn't have.
And I think a lot of people, I'm sure you could speak to this, I mean, not personally necessarily, but like just in general, I think a lot of people, when you lose that, it's something you can easily relate to, I would imagine.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I love
that's for sure.
I love the way his hair is, like the points it comes to are like it's so he's badass in this movie.
Where does
I mean,
Blake get
there's
his
really no
haircut
other
at?
Right?
way
Faded LA.
It's the local shorties.
Which barbershop he stopped by?
Sunglasses
Floyd's
indoors.
99.
I mean, come on.
Boys 99, that's what it should have been.
Same place
I
that
do
guy
love the
stopped
whole the Daywalker. Like that's a really cool nickname.
Yeah.
Like because he's a vampire who can walk around at during the day and Daywalker. It's such a
Yeah,
cool
that's
like he's
really
like
cool.
a myth.
I'm not
like in
sure
this
that
world.
was a thing, to be honest, before he
In the
was created in
comics?
73. At least comic book form, I can't think of anyone that fought a vampire or Dracula that was one that was like had these unique powers
Oh,
of being a
yeah,
Daywalker.
yeah.
I mean, Van Helsing was just a normal human. I mean,
Yeah.
but so I don't know. You're right. It is a very
Constantine
cool.
was technically a human, right?
He was human. Yeah, he just
Yeah.
had been to hell, so he kind of acquired sort of powers because of it. But
Now-
I mean, we've
he's
all been
committed
to hell if
suicide.
you've drived on the 405. So.
Right.
Every day.
That is pretty much
commute.
hell. small.
Now Blade can walk around there during the day, but does he thirsts for blood?
He does.
Right.
He
Okay, I'm
does.
not sure if that has come up in.
That's his weakness.
I haven't noticed.
In
it's
the
come up yet, but-
I can't speak to the comics in that one, but in the movie cinematic universe, is Chris.
But he's immune to the garlic and all that normal stuff that will kill regular
Correct,
vampires.
yes.
Sunlight.
all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses except for that
thirst.
real one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. That's a great story element. So much complicated.
I mean,
There are-
everyone has to have a weakness, right? If they didn't, it'd
Yeah.
be boring.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of
Superman.
similarities, obviously, with this and
Kryptonite.
The Strain. I don't know if any of you guys watched that show, The Strain, which if we do Blade 2 on this podcast,
We will.
I'll probably talk a lot more about because Guillermo del Toro created the Strain and directed Blade 2 and all that. So, yeah.
I like Guillermo has done a lot. It seems like he gets to do whatever he wants to do.
He's done a lot of different genres, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't touch that sword.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Blade's sword in this movie is just the coolest thing.
Yes.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait, what is it?
Well,
Doesn't it come out?
Whoa!
so yes, it cuts people's hands up.
I mean, there's a payoff to that later with the
With
stuff
Quinn.
coming out of his sword.
Oh yeah,
It's like-
no. It's when someone else tries to use a sword against
It's
them.
when Quinn picks it up.
It's like Kylo Ren's lightsaber that has the little ones that come out the side, kind of, yeah. Little defense mechanism.
Early in the movie he saves her after she was bitten.
Blade saves her. Yeah.
Yes, but Blade usually, if he he checked with the first guy, he checked to make sure there was no bites
Right.
because he kills vampires, and usually after you're bitten, you get
He
killed.
kills you.
But
He
this
saved
is
her.
like the pattern. Yeah.
Why?
I mean-
he looks like it reminds him of his mom. You think?
That's kind of what they're trying to do in the story. They try to say that he kind of like reminds her of the mom, but I mean they need to love.
Yeah, when he was looking at her laying on the hospital floor, didn't
Yeah.
flash
Yeah,
a shot
exactly.
of his mother real quick. Yeah, all
It happened in
bloody
the
laying
hospital,
there, yes.
and that's why he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that
And
look-
so it shows him. It also shows that he has a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, wait, how did he get hooked up with Whistler? Has that been explained
Not
yet?
yet.
Yes,
but it
it later on, yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's later,
Essentially,
okay.
Whistler had found him as a kid, as a vampire kid, and took him in and trained him and,
Gotcha,
and turned him
gotcha,
into what he's
gotcha.
become. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
we
the
ever-
story they went with.
What's Whistler's background?
Yeah, that's
though?
the same thing.
Well, Chris, do you remember that? I know they talked about it in the movie. Maybe
That
number 2 or
I
3.
don't
but,
remember. I mean-
so essentially, his wife and family was killed by vampires.
Oh.
So it turned him
that's
into.
right.
But as we learn in the third one daughter survived, played by
Yes.
Jessica Biel. So yeah. Okay,
Spoiler alert.
I do have some movie knowledge. Sorry. A little
No,
bit.
it's good. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Didn't Wesley did? I remember him something about him really hating the fact that the third one didn't do as well, and he blamed his co-stars.
Oh no. He blamed the co-stars and he blamed the studio to try to because he felt that they were trying to give the franchise to Ryan Reynolds at the time and Jessica Biel.
Now, it's too
Makes
bad
sense.
for those of you who have seen Deadpool 2 and Ryan Reynolds goes back and corrects some of the mistakes he's made in his career. It would have been great if he went back and referenced.
He did not go back to.
Has
That's
any of the
interesting.
Deadpools referenced him being in Blade Trinity at all? I don't think so. Maybe it's
No,
because
they
it is
haven't.
different studios.
Yeah, they haven't done it.
Oh wait, but Green
Lantern's
Lantern,
a completely
Green
different
Lantern's
studio,
Warner
yeah.
Brothers. Yeah, I mean
They-
they just show the
They've done several, but they did not
script. Yeah.
do. But
Maybe, people don't remember him being in it. That's
Maybe,
probably
yeah.
why.
Maybe he probably gets a lot more
Yeah.
crap for Green Lantern and for X-Men
Deadpool,
Origins
the
Wolverine.
first time,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, they talked about. Yeah, I saw it. They talked about soccer work.
Wait, what? Did you go to the theater to see this?
I did. I had to go to the theater to see it.
Okay, no.
But they
Don't
talked
spoil
about,
it, but yeah.
They talked about Green Lantern, and then they referenced Deadpool
Oh,
in Teen Titans Go, Warner Brothers property.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time till Deadpool shows up in Lego form in like the next Lego movie or something.
You know,
Right?
correction, actually, Blade was a master martial artist. I said earlier that I thought he was just more of just a fighter in the comics, but he actually, Wesley Snipes made the most sense, really looking at the characters. powers and everything.
What heroic character in an action film in this time didn't bust out with karate? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I remember watching. Was it not Daybreak? What was the? It was like Contagion, but before. What movie was that?
huh.
But I know what you mean. Okay, so you had like
Outbreak?
Rush Hour this year that was all about like Chris Tucker trying to learn karate from Jackie Chan. You had The Matrix the year after this was all kung fu.
Yeah.
You had Lethal Weapon 4, which came out the same year as this, 1998,
Yeah,
and that's when
really?
they had the Lethal Weapon. They made 3 movies, with like all those guys, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover and all. And then the 4th one they add Jet Li to Lethal Weapon
That's
4
right.
to add that kind of
martial
martial arts element. You're right. They were. Yeah, I never even thought of that. They were literally adding martial arts to like every franchise.
You had Titanic, and Leo and Kate had some moves in that.
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
so,
In Lost World Jurassic Park, they have, Jeff Goldblum's black daughter like do gymnastics and spin around and kick
yeah,
a
part
raptor
two,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's close, Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Gymnastics
recall
into the
that,
Lost
but I'll
World.
take your word for
You
it.
don't remember that?
That's the
I
second one.
do remember
The
it,
Lost
but it was-
World. I mean,
remember that was
okay,
the
I am a
worst
Lost
one
World
of the
defender.
I think you're reaching on that one a little bit.
I love the Lost World, but like
Oh, wow.
that's that part's not
I
so great.
can't stand the Lost World, but
Why can't you stand
Okay,
it?
wait. What other movies added like
I watched
martial
the Lost
arts
World, but
in the 90s?
I just felt like they were just
Oh,
everyone in the Lost World just did super stupid things.
Yeah.
It was like watching an old horror movie where they where they just walk into the building where they hear the chainsaw,
But it was
and they get
better-
chainsawed.
Better
But
than
that's-
Fallen Kingdom. Better than Fallen Kingdom. But we won't get into that.
Yeah.
We won't get into that. no.
Ironically, I was watching it on Netflix the other day, and I will say there was one horrible scene where they're hanging over a cliff and 2 T-Rexes are
That's
kind of at him.
that's
And
the best
wait,
scene.
no, hold on before you talk. And it goes from animatronic, whatever you're called, to CGI, and it was just so
Oh,
bad.
really?
Well, that's 1997
I know,
CGI,
but still,
yeah.
the animatronic.
Well,
part was
I will
just
say
so
this. I
bad.
know we're not watching that, but my favorite scene in Lost World is that scene where it's hanging over and she's on the glass, and the glass, Julianne Moore is on the glass, and the glass is like
Oh,
literally
yeah.
cracking,
It's fantastic.
and every move she makes, it starts to crack, and she's hanging off, and. That was my favorite scene, but she got herself
Okay.
in that situation by picking up a baby dinosaur. That was her,
That's true.
knowing the mother's out there, and she's a dinosaur scientist.
2 things. One.
Okay, come on, she knows that.
We should probably get back to Blade.
Come
He
on.
was
We're
injured.
gonna-
He had
we're
a
gonna take
broken
it
leg.
on
The baby T-Rex had a broken leg.
She
He's trying to
knows
save
the
him.
mother's coming.
All
Come
right,
on.
all right,
This is a
little too much on the
This
Lost
is
World. We're not
a
watching
strange
that movie right
tangent we're on right now. But we
Back
won't
to
ever
vampires.
get to do the Lost World on Cape Seat Free because it's not a super movie.
They don't wear
Yeah.
capes. They don't wear capes.
Anyways,
So
Dinosaurs
what
and
we're
orchids.
what we're experiencing right now is an interesting little element of this movie, which is there's like a class structure of the vampires in this, and I don't know. I always found that to be a bit unique. You have this kind of higher class, and Steven Dorff, who's like just like this low class, like he was made by another vampire, and he's not a born that way kind of vampire. So
Is that why we like Steven so much? Is because he's the Stone Cold Steve Austin of this world.
that was an
You know?
interesting reference.
Stone Cold Steven
I thought you were gonna
He's
go a
like-
different route with that.
Ooh.
He's the anti-hero. I mean, he's not a hero at all. We know he's not a hero.
No,
but
he's a villain, but he's
He's against the grain.
anti-establishment.
Yeah.
He's more the rogue. He's more the.
Yeah.
This moment right here was actually, I think, not an MTV Movie Award. I don't know if it's listed on IMDb, maybe not, but for like best dramatic pause, they did something at the MTV Movie Awards that year for this scene, best dramatic pause, and apparently, I think it was Lisa Kudrow went up to announce it, best dramatic pause. and then and the winner is, and then they cut to commercial and like never something like that. But it was for that scene because that was a really long dramatic
genius.
pause. Like
That's so good.
I don't know, they did something like that. It just
That's so good.
Another addition to the tangent. I was thinking like a year after this for Phantom Menace, they kind of added almost like a martial arts aspect to Star Wars with Darth Maul and Ray Park.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
Good
Just,
point.
So-
I'm going to keep thinking of that throughout
so
this
martial
entire
arts was
movie.
prevalent.
I'm going to think more of 90s movies that added martial arts elements because
Well,
I never thought of that pattern before until you said that. Now I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated too. So they added Jet Li to the fourth film. Were you talking about?
Yes.
Lethal Weapon 4,
Lethal
yeah.
Weapon 4, and then
Yep.
did they add Jet Li to the fourth Mummy?
Well, yeah, wait, he was in one? Yeah, wait, I think he was in the fourth. Wasn't he in the fourth
He was
one?
in the third Mummy, not the fourth.
Yeah.
Is Jet
The
Li a
fourth one.
franchise
No, wait,
saver?
the third. What's the third one? Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Yes, which is
Okay,
Jelly.
that is the third. That's what I meant. Yeah, the third one. But that was
okay.
until
Yeah.
2008. That was until,
The fourth
or
one was the new
2009.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
which is
that's the
technically
fourth one,
a bastardization of the original.
Well, Scorpion King was also between
Yes,
two
but that
and
was
three.
a different thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's not a superhero film, so we can bash it. I walked out of The Mummy with Tom Cruise. I've never watched
I
that
have
movie
not seen
ever
it.
in my life.
A
Yeah.
lot of tangents going on in this podcast series of other movies, but I'm going to
Okay.
get back to Blade really quick.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
actually,
yes.
Chris seems like he wants to say
And
something.
no, in Blade, this is one of the scenes. It's when the doctor gets on the, and you start seeing the tattoos in the back of people's necks, and this is when you start seeing like there's a secret society of vampires, and they had, but the humans, which they call them familiars.
Familiars,
I think
correct,
they call
yeah.
them familiars. They would have this tattoo to show that they're branded. But you would have to be a
Humans
vampire
that-
to know
the
about
humans
it.
that wanted to be vampires.
Yes.
or-
So they
or-
help out vampires during the day because
They were
vampires
familiars.
can't walk around during the day, so they use familiars
Oh, that makes so much
during
sense.
the day.
This was such a funny scene, though. It's like they look so eerie when they're in the elevator, and you definitely think they're familiars, and they're randomly just following her almost, and then there's nobody. Like, I love that they set it up like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just genius the way.
Oh no, these are familiars.
No, they're not.
Are they not?
Nope.
Oh, that's
I thought they had tattoos.
They did have tattoos.
I don't remember. Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think you just showed him on their necks.
Yeah, they.
Oh,
But still, to your point, they
maybe,
suddenly disappear,
Yeah,
which is
okay.
freaky.
maybe there's just no point for them. They were just following.
So
her,
this
following her.
was action packed, little bit of comedy and some little horror elements as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
there's definitely. I look forward
That's
to the
hard.
scene coming later. I'm not going to talk about it now, but there is a scene that I remember when I first saw this in late '90s. It freaked the hell out of me. But I'll
Yeah.
tell you that one when it comes up later.
Well, New Line obviously was built by Freddy Krueger, so
Oh.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm
Yeah.
Street was their
point.
first
They've always done
biggest-
genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they really got into comedies, and they still do that today. But going back to like what we said before, them New Line maybe wanted to turn this into a spoof, and we talk about this with all of these kind of franchise starter movies we've been watching on this podcast, but just the state of comic book movies at the time this came out. Basically, you had the Batman movies. You had the 4 Batman movies. Previous summer was Batman and Robin had just come out, and we know how those kind of devolved into the really goofy, to take them seriously. And like we said, Marvel hadn't made a live-action theatrical movie on this scale since Howard the Duck in 1986. So, like, yeah, nobody knew how this was going to do, and I could see why New Line's like, oh, let's turn it into a comedy, like a spoof almost, because maybe they thought that would be more successful. And then, like we said, now it's all kind of... Look at where Marvel went, and then X-Men 2 years after this, and kind of really, and then Spider-Man 2 years after that, and really taken off, and then the MCU 10 years after this movie, and we know where we're at now. We don't have to say it again, but like it's really crazy to just think of what the mindset was on comic book movies at the time, 20 years ago today when this came out. There he is again, showing up at the right time.
That was a great cut, by the way. The way he's
Blade.
not there and then he's suddenly there.
Blade always showing up.
Yeah. During this time, DC was the big name in movies.
Well, this is an
Superman.
interesting. I'm going to go this for a second.
That's true.
This is an interesting time in the comic book world. This is 1998, so this was right at the turn of the 90s when comics were failing miserably. Publishers like DC and Marvel were way overproducing, making millions of copies of everything. People thought they were buying all these holographic gimmick covers, and they were going to result in making millions of dollars. And the industry just tanked. So
Really?
this was an interesting time. I think for a while people might have thought that comics were going to eventually go away when the way this was going.
Wow.
So this movie might have helped reinvigorate the comic book industry, possibly.
Now, Ryan, do you know anything about, like, you could say comic books are still a paper medium, and obviously a lot of things are going digital nowadays, and online comics, or you read it on your Kindle. I mean, do you know anything? I don't expect you to know anything about it. I'm just asking about, like, are they hurting today about, like, with the actual physical sales of their books and things?
I can tell you that publishing numbers are definitely a lot less than what they were back then, but part of that is because publishing companies learn from their mistakes. There's definitely a very massive digital industry now that is growing, but I think overall, at least the older crowd still loves holding on to a physical comic book form.
Yeah.
And while that stays true, which it will for a while, physical comics, paper comics are still going to be a prevalent thing.
And those are the things that rise exponentially in value. Now, do you think any comic books today, obviously you have these old ones from the 30s through the 60s where they're worth tens of thousands of dollars because of the characters. I mean, would that even happen with anything released today?
The only thing that I can speak to where that has happened, and a part of it is because of the condition that it was in, but the only thing I can tell you is Walking Dead #1. Can't remember the year that came out. When did the TV show start?
TV show was 2010.
2010, okay.
Or 2011, 2010.
So early. So Walking Dead #1 in what's called a CGC 9.9. That's the second highest potential grade you can get, right below what's called a Gem Mint 10.0. So that comic can sell for around 15 to 20 grand.
Because nobody knew that was going to become the biggest show on TV, yeah.
But that's the only modern book I can think of that really sells
or would be things like...
And by modern, I mean early 2000s.
Yeah, or things like in limited print. Like nowadays, with like Harry Potter, it's like the very first print, like a rare...
Well, a lot of comics, what they do is the publishing companies put out what are called variants. And whereas you'll have a 100,000 print run of the first printing, you'll have maybe 10,000 or 5,000 or even 1,000 of a variant come out, and they can cost a lot of money because of the rarity of them. So that's why a lot of modern books can sell for a lot. A lot of people in the industry are not happy about variants right now. They think that it's essentially the 90s happening all over again. I disagree because there is distinct differences. There are comics that can be worth quite a bit of money in the modern world in the moment.
I think the difference now is that back then nobody knew that these things could possibly be worth this much, so things got thrown away. Where now people,
I don't know.
They did. Actually, it's the opposite.
You think?
Because my mom saves everything because she thinks everything's going to be worth something.
Right,
but she specifically saved my
even in the
cards.
60s, people knew they were going to
So I'd say by late 60s, early 70s, that is when the collector essentially started to become a thing. Okay. People started holding on to things more, keeping them in better condition. For example, Amazing Spider #1, 1963. In 1973, in near mint condition, that was worth $300. Now, in near mint condition, it's worth about $150,000.
Jeez.
But even back then, it was still worth a few $100, which was probably a decent amount of money back then. So.
Let me just interject real quick. That guy biting the girl's neck on the side of the road, that was the director cameo, Stephen Norrington.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
But yeah, I just thought that was a more recent phenomenon, actually collecting. Because I know with like movie props and stuff, that actually didn't start till the like mid to late 90s, where people actually started really caring about movie props and preserving them, and because studios used to just throw out everything like up until only about 20, 30 years ago, really wasn't a big thing. So
that's why the comic book industry, as far as a collectability, that's why nothing is worth anything from the 90s, really, because especially by then, people were collectors at that point. So they were holding on to anything and everything that came out. People in 1992, 93 were buying... Sorry, I think 93, were buying Superman 75, The Death of Superman, up the wazoo, thinking they had just taken care of their college tuition. That turned out to be the opposite.
But now for the value to go really up on something, it's either got to be really rare, there's not a lot around, or it seems like it gets driven up by other mediums. Like Walking Dead book goes up because it becomes the biggest TV show. Game of Thrones, maybe an original run, or print, or Harry Potter because the movies or the TV shows become the biggest things and everybody's scrambling to...
I don't know if it was a Harry Potter comic book, but...
I meant the original print of the books, just like Game of Thrones or something.
What will tend to do it is really the movie industry. So for example... when Avengers Infinity War was coming out, they announced that the children of Thanos were going to be in it as villains. Boom, first appearance of them, which wasn't a modern comic. It had just happened. Suddenly became a little bit of an expensive book.
So we've talked about this before. You gotta get some insider info from Marvel Studios. Find out what properties they're developing. Buy up all that stuff. Get all your Inhumans and Eternals and whatever. You never know what's going to be the next big thing after this. After this.
Can I just say? In this scene here, they look like Japanese schoolgirls in a club singing rap.
It's adding that Asian influence.
And
90s, man.
And
Yes.
now that's what you see how big K-pop is now.
Yeah.
Well, K-pop is pop, but
The 90s were a wonderful time.
Hey, that's when
90s
Wu-Tang
kids
Clan was big.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
92,
That's
93.
the reason why. They even put
Okay,
martial
so I
arts
was
in rap.
thinking, what other... If you think about the vampire movies before this, was there a vampire action film that was huge like this? Because we had Interview with the Vampire, we had Bram Stoker's Dracula.
When did Dracula 2000 come out?
Ooh, that's
With
a good question.
Gerard Butler.
I'm gonna say 2000.
I want to say 2001.
Yeah, I think
Movies
I think it came after.
with 2000 in the title didn't always come out in the year 2000.
Yes,
Blues
that's
Brothers 2000 came out in this year, 1998.
When did
but,
Tales of the Crypt Bordello of Blood come out?
Ooh, that's like 96.
Oh wow, yeah.
I don't think that was like a big.
I think they went through puberty in that
But
movie.
this did predate the big vampire,
Yeah.
the vampire craze
The
that we
genre,
had
yeah.
a few years ago.
Dracula 2000 was in 2000, so this is
Was
before.
it?
This
Wait,
was
that makes
before
sense.
this.
Well,
I don't know.
2000.
Well, no, like I said,
totally
Blue,
forgot about that.
it's not always accurate. You know, everybody tried to
I
capitalize.
got something right.
Y2K.
Everybody tried to capitalize on the Millennium stuff. So yeah, Blues Brothers
Right.
2000 came out 2 years before 2000.
Because
so,
technically
like, you
the
never
movie
know.
2012 came out in 2012, but the Armageddon apocalypse didn't happen in 2012, so we're still alive. Here,
Right,
so.
that's true. We survived.
Not everything
We
comes true.
survived. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, vampire. That's a good. Yeah, because yeah, you had the.
Everything else was like
You had
drama
those.
before
You had
then,
those
right?
two Interview
Yeah.
with Vampire and Bram Stoker's Dracula in the early parts of the.
I mean,
90s.
they eventually did the Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
But
That was
That was
like
after. That was
way- yeah,
6
that was
years
way
after. That was
after.
That was much
2004.
later, yeah.
So I don't know.
It's definitely after Wolverine.
I'm looking at this now, and this movie is way more complex than I remember.
I gotta be honest. We're having a good conversation. I'm not.
Guys,
I'm not following.
What
the
are
plot
those?
as much.
I always wondered what were those things he was just walking by? Were they like great? I mean, Tombstone. What?
No.
Not Tombstone.
Servers?
Were they servers?
I don't know.
No.
That
This
must be-
at this
I don't
time
know.
he just broke into a vampire club where they're delivering blood. They keep blood banks all across town in
that
different
makes
blood
cities.
servers.
Okay.
So they serve blood. I was close.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Why do you
And so,
think?
Okay, I don't know who in their
Keep
right
my
mind
blade
would
up.
want to be a vampire when you like see all the fun stuff they're doing, like
Yeah, I was about
partying
to-
and sexual acts
Yeah.
and stuff. Like,
Do you?
What?
I wanna be a
How
vampire.
often is vampirism like in line with like just sex? You know what I mean? Like you never see.
Yeah.
There's always sex
'Cause there's a lot of
there's always
sucking.
Vampires. I guess.
and the creatures of the night.
Ryan, we should have given you a red popsicle again. You have
Oh,
a
don't
red
even
mouth.
go
Like
there.
you're fresh from a
Don't even
vampire
go
club.
there. not even interested in talking about it. Yeah, Steven Dorff. He's protruding quite a bit of sexuality in the scene.
When was the first?
Shirtless.
Look at these sweet graphics.
When was it? Those graphics seem very like Resident Evil-ish.
Oh yeah, well that's
It's like the security system rebooting in Jurassic Park. It's a
they're quite impressive,
It's a
actually.
Linux system.
Right.
Got a little infinity pull action there, some rubber duckies. It's about to get a little bloody, but
and this
what's good
here
about this movie.
Deacon is plotting his takeover of the organization.
Yeah.
This is when the rebels going to try to take on the establishment, the vampire establishment. And he survived.
Yeah, Quinn doesn't look too worse for the wear.
Yeah.
It's
Donald Logu's character.
it's great how much we see of the villain here. I think very memorable films, I might have said this somewhere before, but very memorable films have memorable villains
Yes.
who get more screen time. Like, I look at what happened with Thor Ragnarok. I wanted more of the sister. What's her name?
Hella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hela?
I think there was a lot of Hella in that movie, though.
Do you?
I think
Yes.
there was.
Yeah, because the
She
thing
had
is,
a lot of-
he was on Ragnarok.
Uh-huh.
Oh, not Ragnarok. I'm sorry. He was in the Conquest of Champions. He's fighting with the Hulk and stuff, and they kept
Guy's
cutting
such a
back
nerd.
to what's it?
Yeah, with the Grandmaster. Come on now.
Grandmaster, and they kept cutting back. So the thing is, they were cutting back the entire
Yeah.
movie back to Asgard, where she was ruling, and
Got it,
she
okay.
kind of slowly took over. He wasn't even there.
Right. Okay, maybe just by the trailer, I thought there was going to be more of her.
Oh, I hope they made I hope the blood that they gave the fake blood in this movie was like nice, like sweet,
good?
like flavored. Like sometimes they had some strawberry
That's
flavoring.
why he likes it so much.
It's
Don't you
usually
see,
very
Steven
sugary.
Dorff going into it?
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Oh, Andy gets to.
Gets to kiss the girl.
It's-
That's
yeah.
all tongue too.
Oh, vampire's sexy. Hey, that's That's why when they wrote those Twilight books, every girl was all into it. It was just porn.
You know, isn't there? I'm pretty sure there's like. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, that was I ain't
pretty
done porn. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure there's a real society or cult or something out there. People who actually believe they
right.
they want to be vampires.
There is.
Right.
I've seen
There is.
Because they talk
I've seen
about
documentaries.
energy transfer, right?
Yeah,
They talk about how
they actually suck people's blood.
Ugh,
Oh.
so weird.
Whoa.
It's a legit thing.
Oh. I don't remember this.
I don't remember this at all.
I
Jabba the
remember-
Hutt.
I remember really wanting to date this guy. I thought he was cute. Those huge nipples.
What?
Wow. I was going to say about the blood. When I used to backyard wrestle, you guys are going to learn a lot about me in this podcast. But we used to make fake blood with syrup, a little bit of molasses, and some red food coloring. That's
Yeah.
how we would make blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's like corn syrup or something with food coloring. Yeah. Wow, this is.
I guess the corn syrup or the molasses gives it that thickness. When the syrup is really thin.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
the fake blood?
Yeah.
Oh, just gotta like my photo
this,
from Steve Borak.
It gives us some texture.
Oh, who's Steve Borak?
Steve Borak is he was the head grader at CGC, and then he spawned off and helped create his own grading company, now known as CBCS, which I talked about
Nice.
in one of our other podcasts.
Yeah.
That's cool. He's a big guy in the industry. He's
Wait, I
pretty
do
well-known.
remember
It's
this
very
part.
deformed.
Thank you for liking Steve.
Yeah.
Very deformed vampire.
What's kind of cool is this seems like a practical effect too, which nowadays this probably just would have been a CG creation.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah. It's very cool.
The thing is, the practical effects hold up very well in this
Yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah,
They do.
practical effects always hold up the best, and that's why we're seeing kind of
They
a
don't.
resurgence of that. People,
If they're done
people
well.
are wanting.
If they're done well.
They're usually done well.
If you think about who's like the best at practical effects or even costumes, like Totopoulos,
Interesting. Oh.
you think all the costumes that he's created?
Creature stuff.
Creature
Well, I
stuff,
think
yeah.
like Guillermo del Toro. I mean,
Guillermo.
even his recent, he's
Guillermo.
done a lot of
But
that
what can
recently.
what
and
can you remember from that Guillermo did in the 90s? That was creature based. Like if you think back to '94, you had Independence Day, which
He did some-
Totopoulos did.
yeah,
I just have to point out, Blade is spraying this like unique looking like TNT gel stuff onto the door, and this is the one thing that I love about the way they brought this character into the movie universe is he just has the coolest weapons. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's so
Oh, yeah,
awesome
no.
weapons. I love his weapons.
Ooh.
In the car, like he's just got cool
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
all
It's
burned
just
up.
fun.
For practical effects, ILM did a lot of that for the original Star Wars movies and stuff too. And then Jim
Yeah.
Henson's Creature Shop has always been great with practical like animatronics,
Oh, yeah.
like with the Ninja Turtles movies and stuff. So there's
Yes.
those are some of the pioneers for that type of
Yeah.
work.
So we're about to learn about what's going on. We're about to learn about La Magra.
Yes, this is.
Speaking more about the Marvel and DC thing, so this movie was written by David S. Goyer, who wrote all three Blade movies and went on. He actually directed the third movie, but
Yes.
now he's involved with the DC stuff. He wrote Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. I think he's writing the Green Lantern Corps movie.
Did he
they're
help
doing.
write
Yeah.
Batman Begins?
He's
Oh yeah, obviously he did the whole. That's right. He helped write the whole Nolan trilogy of Batman movies as well. So yeah, so he
Goyer is
kinda
one
made
of the go-to writers for superhero.
Yeah,
movies.
so he made the jump
DC
from
and
Marvel, DC.
He does both.
Did he write Justice League?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's,
believe he was credited on that. I don't know.
Or he didn't take credit for it.
Well, yeah. I honestly liked Batman v Superman better than Justice League.
There was always something that really annoyed me about the gripe people had with that movie, and that was that Metropolis and Gotham were so close. They were written as being that close in the comics.
Oh,
so I don't know
really?
why people had
Really?
an issue with that. Yeah.
I didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, in the origin
I had
of
a
those
huge
two
issue with
cities,
that.
they are that close.
They're that close. Then shoot, they should be
Yep.
helping each other a lot more often.
I know, right?
Honestly, Gotham shouldn't have the problem they have if they're that close to Superman.
I mean, I gotta
But,
say,
Well, they gotta own their own territories, right? Their own
I gotta
districts.
say, I never realized for that movie that Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne's mothers were both named Martha.
Well, that was the first time it was ever said.
But that's like,
ever actually.
yeah. Don't you think the people at DC realize, hey, maybe we give
I'm
this
sure they
mother
do.
a different name?
I
don't know.
appreciated it. Yes, it was maybe a tad cheesy the way it was.
I appreciate
Right.
it too.
I don't know. I didn't mind it.
But
But
anyway,
they're damaging some very valuable papyrus.
They're fighting in the
papyrus
King Tut
artifacts.
Museum.
How do you know that's papyrus?
It looks like papyrus. What is that if it's not papyrus? Is it like ancient Egypt?
It's old scriptures from the days of papyrus.
That's probably papyrus.
I'm sure it's papyrus. See, I have such a tough time that Blade's getting beat up right now. I can't believe it. He's got superhuman strength. I mean, I know
these
they're
kung
both doing
fu
karate,
masters.
Look at how many kung fu masters are
I
there.
don't care. He's the ultimate kung fu master.
But it's
Which I now know.
It's the Asian kung fu masters are kicking his ass. So you
I
can't,
don't care.
You can't.
He's Blade.
Whoa.
Oh man, that hand. That is scary.
Wait, why is
Donald Logu's hand as a Quinn. Ooh.
He looks the same as he did in Ghost Rider, like the same age.
that was Ghost Rider was what 2004, 2003?
He was thinner in this.
2 years
He's in
after
better
this.
shape.
Yeah, you're right. Such a good character.
Quinn says.
So we had that payoff of if you touch Blade's sword and you're not Blade, obviously it's going to cut your hands off. We just finally had that payoff. That was we're 53 minutes into the movie. That was about what?
Right, that was a lot
14 minutes
earlier.
in?
Yeah.
So Blade's getting his butt.
Quinn, you're messing with the wrong guy, buddy.
Martin, we're almost an hour in. You have not taken a bathroom break yet.
I'm
know.
impressed.
Chris
is,
is taking the bathroom break.
I know, but
No.
Martin.
The film school dropouts was
You have
first.
to
I feel
do
like-
like
I feel
3
like
or 4 more to catch up to our other
I
ones.
feel like you're making a conscientious effort to do this. This is like something.
Oh, welcome back, film school dropout. How was that pee break?
Had to drop something out.
Oh god. Could have gone without that one. Actually.
Oh, is that? We can edit that part out.
I'd like to point out I have not
No, we're
taken
keeping that
a
in.
bathroom break during any of these podcasts so far.
Really?
I think I might
Nope.
take one or two.
I mean,
He likes to watch
I'm
these
drinking
movies
beers.
under pressure. All right.
So Blade, as we can see, he can really handle some pain. I mean, he was getting punched up by
Ooh.
Quinn. He got a stake in the heart area, but he can handle it. He's got
Yeah.
some serious. And
Whoa.
I believe he regenerates.
And he has
What
some
is this
backup.
busting through?
so this
Yes.
is the first time Blade has asked for help.
What? That was badass.
Well, I don't think it's so much that he
It's-
asked for help, but I think Whistler is there to help if needed. And
Yeah.
That was a badass entrance.
Yeah, it
He
was.
ran into a trap. Yeah.
That was
It looked
amazing.
good,
So
too.
just to explain the badass entrance, for anyone who's not watching the movie, that was Whistler blowing up a wall and just coming
Just
in and
appearing.
shooting up the place. Mhm.
Yeah. And it looked good, too.
It did look really good.
It wasn't like overly like the red flames and the smoke. It wasn't like that.
No, like
that
he
you
would have
expect.
planted like explosives like that kind of foam that Blade just used.
Yeah.
Nice Whistler.
Wow.
Throws a little bomb in there. It's great.
Well, I was gonna say, when we do Batman vs Superman, we're doing the extended cut.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I have that.
All right.
Okay.
But we'll make sure that's on the
Well, I
side.
want to make this really long, right?
Is it? I mean, I think Zack Snyder's extended cuts
do
are
have
always
that.
better, but what does that say?
There were also a lot of action
says-
scenes. So I was thinking in the '90s, taking place on underground trains. I just thought of this.
When did the movie
You had-
Money Train come out?
Wait, what movie?
Money
Money
Train.
Train.
With, actually with Wesley
94?
Snipes.
It was
That
after
mid '90s,
Ah,
right?
was it after
but
this?
it's just reminding me of in Speed they end up on a train,
Yeah.
right?
Wait, no.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. They're on a
They end
bus.
up on the subway at the end.
Oh,
They're in
you're-
the end.
oh,
They're
you're
in
right.
the
Yeah,
LA
yeah,
subway,
you're
and then
right.
the
I'm
thing
sorry.
comes flying up on Hollywood Boulevard
Yeah,
at the
you're
end.
right, you're
Yes.
right.
And then
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, which was 2 years before this,
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise is on top of the underground train
It's a lot of
that
train
blows
action.
up. Yeah, there's a lot of like
once
subway
again, Money
train scenes in the '90s. That was another trend: kung fu and subway trains. You had to add those in all your movies in the '90s.
Money Chain was 95.
So,
Okay.
so from a production
Was there an actual
perspective,
train?
Oh, really?
from a production perspective, how do you think they shot this? Do you guys have any idea of how
This
was
is
shot?
definitely a CG train.
Oh, that's also okay. That's
Yeah, for the really fast
I mean,
going
that makes
by.
sense.
That's this is just lighting,
That's like
clever
strobe
lighting.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
God,
then,
it's so cool though that they were
yeah.
able to
Lighting
do
and
that
camera work, camera shaking.
I feel like this is stab. I feel like this is better choreo. This is definitely way better choreography
Oh,
than the Dark.
face
That's
against
CG.
Batman.
fast. So what do they have, like a wind machine blowing wind at her, and that's why her hair's
Yeah.
like going like that? Okay.
Oh yeah. Lights flashing. He loses an arm again. That's his theme. He loses an arm before
That's
he runs away from a
intense.
fight.
Dude, and what you're saying about the trains, like that stuff doesn't go away. Think about Underworld, the first Underworld. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It was in a train station where the Lycan's lair was, so that didn't go away for a while.
Yeah.
Whoa, grabbing on.
Vampires
They can
are
run
fast,
really
but not
fast, yes.
enough,
These are some
unfortunately, for a
fast
train.
subways.
I guess they don't get tired.
Would we
It's
have
like
gotten
this one's
Underworld
full
without
speed.
Blade?
Yes. I think we will.
Interesting.
Underworld's vampires,
I don't
right?
know.
Sorry, I haven't
Yeah,
seen
no,
that
it's-
movie in a long time.
Yeah, no, it's vampires.
Making
Full-on
sure.
vampires. She was a regular old vampire.
Okay.
I think the question is who wins in that fight, Blade or
Blade.
Oh, just Blade right away.
Or Kate
Celine?
Beckinsale?
Kate
Or
Beckinsale?
Celine, yeah.
No,
I'm going
Blade.
Kate.
They just fight till the daytime and she dies because she's a regular vampire.
Good
all right?
point. Fair enough. That doesn't.
Fight till the sun comes up.
She was much faster though, I believe, in the way they portrayed her as a vampire.
Her guns are better too.
What? Her what?
Her guns are better too.
Yes, her guns are better.
I'm sure if Whistler saw what he was up against, he'd make some
Yeah,
better
that's
guns.
true.
All right.
But
Whoa, she just realized that he's a vampire?
Well,
We're like 57 minutes in.
Yeah, see, this is the beginning of Act
Yes.
3.
She's
kicking
not
in.
very
well,
Act
at the
2.
very beginning, she did see him in the chair when he got his first dose,
Yeah.
but she didn't know what it was at the
yeah,
time.
that's true.
Right, you're right.
And so it's kind of like this.
Oh, now we're getting the
Yes.
background of how Whistler
You know,
met up with Blade.
I just realized something interesting, guys. In all three movies, I know in this one there's kind of that zombie element later on in the movie, which that's going to go to the place that I was going to say that really scared me. But in all three movies, we only ever get vampires. I'm pretty sure he fights other monsters. He actually has a power where he can sense creatures, like monsters around. I'm kind of surprised
really?
that he
Oh, yeah.
never introduced a different
I didn't know
monster.
that.
Well,
What
the thing
types
is,
of creatures?
well,
think
the thing
anything.
is, back then,
Anything.
before these like continued universes, when they released superhero movies,
Mhm.
they stayed in that world, like no other
stayed
superheroes
in.
existed.
But they could have introduced like
So-
a werewolf maybe at some
Maybe
point.
they were
or something
afraid
else.
of making
I don't
it too weird. I don't
know. I
know.
guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Because we wouldn't have known. We still don't know what we want as consumers here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we.
Yeah.
we
I want to see Blade fight everybody. Like, did they do crossovers with other characters in the comics? Did he ever
did.
pop up with
Oh, yeah,
the
the comic
Avengers
books, yeah.
and stuff?
Oh, I don't know about the Avengers, but like I said, he did fight Morbius from.
Yeah, no,
Spider-Man
he would fight with Spider-Man.
Oh, right.
He would be
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely crossed over with other
So okay, now you might know more about this. See, this is my ignorance to the world of actual comics.
characters. Maybe.
So you have like the Marvel, like the Avengers, and all those characters in that world, which
Yep,
you know.
X-Men, Fantastic
But then
Four.
you have like Blade. Now are there different tiers of characters in the comics? You know what I mean? Like Blade isn't just like going up and meeting up with the Avengers,
You mean
but
like
the
A-listers and like.
you know what I mean? Like the
C-listers?
Fantastic Four meets up with the Avengers and stuff, right? Like Silver
Yeah,
Surfer
there's
is
a lot of
involved in
crossover
Infinity
comics
War.
even early on.
Right,
where
but I
you'll
mean, like,
see-
are there like lower level ones that they would never mix with like the Avengers? Like,
I
is Blade
don't-
a different
I wouldn't
tier
say
of
never,
superhero?
no.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I
don't know.
I think they've definitely done crossovers with
Okay.
every
Oh, yeah.
single character at some point, likely or another. Yeah.
Yeah,
No matter
it's-
how big or small they are.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and-
maybe
and
he crossed paths with some well-known superheroes.
Oh no, in the comics he
or
has
something.
definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Like
Did he
there's
cross
a
with
lot
New
of like this because a lot of these characters are based in New York,
Right.
and so yes, you have your big ones like
Right, they're
Spider-Man
supposed to
and
all
stuff
be
like that.
coexisting,
And they,
yeah.
and they all coexist in different
Yeah.
parts of New York. It's just
I'm-
like the
Okay.
Daredevils and the Luke Cages and all they live in different parts.
Yeah. I remember watching a cartoon with I don't remember. I think did Wolverine show up in the Spider-Man cartoon?
Yes.
Yes, and then actually, sorry, just to go. So, the beauty of Wikipedia, team affiliation. So, two of the team affiliations that he was a part of, Blade, was the Mighty Avengers and Avengers of the Supernatural.
Oh.
So I'm going to take a wild
Ooh,
guess
Avengers
here.
of the Supernatural.
I
That sounds
yeah.
cool. That sounds kind of cool.
So the Mighty Avengers was actually a newer one in New York, as Chris mentioned. That is correct. And he actually did team up. It was led by Iron Man. It had Miss Marvel, Hank Pym, Luke Cage. So yeah, he's definitely teamed up with other characters.
Wow.
big
So we need
A-listers.
like New Line to lose the rights to Blade. Don't
Yeah,
get.
right.
Well, no,
Blade back
Marvel
next
has
phase.
Marvel has Blade back.
See what the photo looks like.
Do they?
Yes, Marvel has
Oh
Blade.
yeah, I guess they haven't made a movie since 2004, and it was the short-lived
Yes, they do
TV
have
show
Blade
a
back.
few years ago.
So that
Like
was
all the rights are back except for Fox's rights with X-Men
Oh.
and Sony's rights with
They
the
could
Spider-Man
throw
world.
Well, if you were,
Yes,
if
they
you
got
were to
everything
see,
back.
If you were
Okay,
going to see,
that'd be
if you were
cool.
to see a duo with Blade, who would you want to see him team up with for a movie? I feel like that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Because Iron Man and Spider-Man for Homecoming just made so much sense.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
makes sense with Blade?
Yeah.
You know, they are going
Ah,
to. They are developing a Justice League Dark. Oh, that's Justice League. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
I just pulled an
Yeah.
idiot move from myself. I don't know how I did
It's
that.
okay. You caught yourself.
I
It's
caught
all good.
myself though. Okay, go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
No, I was just thinking still. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's a tough one. Because you kind
That's
of.
a tough one.
I'm saying going with current characters
see,
that are.
I feel like
Hawkeye.
the Blade would work great as like a Netflix style. show.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
A
Like
dark,
what they do with the
gritty-
fits
like
with
what
the
they do with the
Luke Cage,
Punisher.
the
In
Iron
fact, I could
Fist,
see him with the
yeah.
Punisher.
Well, they
something
did
like
the,
that.
They did
Oh,
the
that's
TV
cool.
series, but it wasn't good. You know?
No,
They need to
it
do
was a
new
network.
one
They
now.
did it on network,
Yeah.
and so
I think
wasn't
you're,
good
I
enough.
think you're right. The way Marvel is split off now is the really dark TV shows, except for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a little more lighthearted. And then you have the MCU, the theatrical ones. And I think at this point, Blade, I mean, he had a shot. He had his own trilogy.
But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not a Netflix show originally.
No, it's not. It's not.
Because
I mean,
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
It's a different breed because it was the first one.
Daredevil, Punisher,
but I think
those are all
now Blade had a shot at a film trilogy and he got it and it did pretty well. And now I think if they were going to bring him back, you're right. I think in that style,
Yes.
You go there because you can be more violent.
Yes.
I think,
Oh,
and
you need
you want
the
the blood. And you want the blood.
You're-
I mean, you want the blood and violence, but the darkness
you
is
need
what...
the blood. You
the
need
darkness
the
is
blood.
what...
It's a vampire. You can't not show blood.
I'm just going to say it right here. Chris, the Film School Dropout, just brought up something. Marvel, I hope you're listening. You need to make a Blade Netflix TV series.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Starring Wesley Snipes.
he can be the new Whistler, actually.
Yeah. So you make Wesley,
The new Whistler?
Chris Christopherson is kind of up there now, so yeah.
Who would play Blade then?
Well, I think we gotta just find someone to cast. You know,
At the time, it would be this. If they're doing it right now, let's see, who will we play as
I'd
Blade?
like a younger guy though.
No, definitely
Black
younger
dude who
guy.
knows martial arts.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Who would that be?
Who was Spawn? That was Michael Jai White. But
That was
He's-
Michael
he's
Jai
too
White.
old.
I know, it was
He's
20
already-
years ago.
He's
Yeah,
already dead.
I
He
know,
died.
I know.
The Joker killed him.
Okay, that doesn't count. It's a tough one, but there's got to be someone that's.
No,
hot
I'm
right
sure
now.
there's...
Okay, he doesn't know martial arts, but hear me out. No, he's British. The guy from Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And,
John Boyega?
yeah, I mean, I like him. He was good. He was good in the sequel to
Pacific Rim?
Pacific Rim.
Oh,
yeah,
I just
but
watched
he's
the movie.
not
That movie was terrible.
I liked it. Whatever.
I love the first Pacific Rim too, but anyways. Ooh, I remember the scene. I remember the scene.
We'll have to think about that one.
Yeah,
by the way.
This is Deacon Frost now taking over. He's
Now, aren't they supposed to be in LA so the sunrise would not be happening over the ocean?
That's
Or-
too much for me.
Are they in LA?
just-
Are they in LA? I don't.
Too
I
much.
think they've been in LA this whole time.
Calm down, Bill Nye.
It's just
Too
we
much to
live in
think about.
LA. We never get to watch the sun rise over the ocean. Just saying. Just
Man, they
saying.
just pulled out his teeth. It's so violent. This movie's so violent. I love it.
Very bad.
This is when they're trying
We
to
need a
experiment
science. We
with
need a
sun.
science advisor on this podcast. We need like our Bill Nye / Neil
Yeah.
deGrasse Tyson.
Someone's a professional in vampire science.
Hey,
yes.
we become big enough. Maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson will like retweet us, like correcting us on stuff,
On
like
everything.
like he does
He
with all the
probably-
movies that go to me.
So
Whatever.
that was interesting that they felt the need to do that and torture him like that. They tortured him emotionally too. They took out his teeth,
Oh,
which is like taking out the extension of himself before. It's kind
Taking
of
out
crazy.
a
to think-
vampire's teeth, that's the worst you can do.
It's crazy to think that they felt the need to do that when they knew they were just about to kill him. Like, I don't. Why
yeah.
even do that?
This is actually a really
no.
cool effect. I like this burning up of the
he-
and then exploding. Oh my
that
god!
brought me back to the days of like The Thing from like John Carpenter, like that special
Yeah.
effects.
When I
love
first
that.
watched that movie for the first time, like a few years ago, like
That's why I
I
took
was
the teeth
blown.
out.
Speaking of practical effects, those are
Yeah.
some of the coolest practical effects ever in the
Agreed.
thing. Oh my god! When they go to use the defibrillator and it just opens up into a mouth
Yep.
and like bites the dude's arms off, I could not believe that the first time I watched that movie.
By the way, I just got
love
the
it.
answer to my original question. He clearly now I see took out the teeth to make a statement with the higher class vampire. So never mind. That's
And his teeth, it was the fangs he took out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
we
was
saved
the
some of
fangs,
that
yeah.
papyrus that you destroyed.
For sure, it's papyrus. Yes.
So, like in a vampire world, you can just touch teeth and like, oh yeah, that's Carl.
It was pointy. I don't know.
Just smell them. Oh, yeah.
Fangs.
Bob, they got you too.
Bill the vampire. Bill.
Do you remember how?
Recognize that plaque anywhere.
Oh man.
Do you remember how much anxiety you had whenever like Whistler's life was in jeopardy?
Whistler's mother.
Because he's old and
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
always
yeah.
think they're going to kill off the old mentor. Like,
Yes.
does he survive through this whole trilogy? See, I honestly
No.
don't remember.
He
does not.
He's dead in the third one.
Spoiler
Oh,
alert.
okay, so
He
makes
dies
it,
at the
okay.
beginning, actually,
So
in
it
the
makes
third
it almost through. But yeah, I was afraid they were going to kill like Michael Caine in like the Dark Knight trilogy. You know, it's like the old
They ain't
mentor
killing
guy. Like
Alfred,
you never
my
know.
Man. They ain't killing Alfred.
Actually,
He was
I
in
don't
some danger. He was in some
Alfred
danger.
don't die.
Has Alfred ever died?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
There wasn't
no.
like a Death of Alfred like series
Oh,
like
wait.
in Batman.
Alfred,
You know,
that
Death
just
of
sounds
Superman.
I mean,
Why
if
you-
they maybe in the comics.
I don't
Why-
think he ever died.
What do you think of that, Ryan? Teen Titans Go. They're like
More
the
Teen
new movie,
More Teen
Alfred.
Titans Go references.
sweeping up the crime. was so good.
Actually, I do want to see Teen Titans go.
Yeah.
Do it.
I do want to see.
So we just got a cool scene in this. What we thought was maybe I can't remember her character, like what her name in the movie is, but what we thought she is developing a serum to fix him. She ends up creating this stuff that like can make vampires blow up. So that's pretty awesome. I actually love this.
So she created that?
She did, yeah.
Yeah, because she's a scientist.
Hematologist.
Yes.
Blake's new girlfriend?
Yes.
She's not in the second one, right?
No, they never get together in this one. I kind of thought they would, but it never
Who's the
happens.
female lead in the second one?
The female lead in the
Yeah,
second
it's
one.
that Indian girl who's the daughter of the like head vampire in the.
I'm picturing the same chick from Wolverine.
I can't remember her name.
The Last Stand, the doctor.
No, I don't know. No, it's not her. No, it is a. I think she's Indian. I don't know.
We will
I think
quietly
she
look this up as we continue to
Yeah,
watch.
someone look it up.
She's taking the band-aids off her teeth.
We'll remember
marks.
it as we continue to watch.
So this is interesting. So essentially, they injected her with liquid garlic, and that kept her from becoming a vampire. I didn't think
Slowly.
there was a cure for it.
You know,
Well, no, it's not a cure. It's only slowing it
So
down.
essentially, that's why she's not even in number 2, at least partly, because she was eventually going to become a vampire anyway. So. I guess.
I love garlic. You can.
I mean,
inject me
I
with
think she does
garlic
wind up
anytime.
surviving this movie, but I think
She does survive the movie.
she doesn't get signed for the next one.
Okay.
I personally think that was just a contract thing.
But there's no cure for stopping a vampire, so yeah, she must eventually become one. I'm really confused by the way that was portrayed, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know.
I can understand what Wesley felt in terms of making the third one so much more studio. Like, he carried this this movie by himself.
Oh yeah. No. He got very much egotistical with the third one.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that they wanted to bring in new blood.
Right.
Yeah, new blood.
You know,
Did the second one not do so good?
No, the second one did. The third one didn't do so good, but
when did the third one come out?
2004. End of 2004.
Was that
Really?
the paranoia from the
That long
studios?
ago?
Like, 2004. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what was going on in the cinema world at that time, where the studios would think that Blade 3 was a risk and wanted to bring in more fresh blood like that. Or was it just
honestly,
to expand the horizons?
I think it was more to expand.
Gotcha.
And at the time, because from what he said when he tried to like sue because of it, he tried to sue the studio. That he felt that they were trying to like expand him out, or just like hire his replacement. So he's pretty much training his replacement in that sense.
Gotcha.
But
By the way, here's the girl that you guys were thinking of for. I mean, she's really not I don't know her. She's not like a famous actor from Blade 2. This is the actress that was the semi-lead actress, if you want to say it. But there really was no main integral woman character.
Leonore Varela?
Leonore Varela, I don't know
Interesting.
her.
Who was the female lead in? Well, I mean, there was no
Number
love
3?
interest in the third one, right?
It was Jessica Biel. I mean,
There's
by
no
far. She was
love
the only-
interest. Right?
No, there's no love interest. No. It was Jessica Biel by far. She was the main female.
I mean, this girl's the love interest in this movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'd say this one really is the one of the 3 that has a remotely kind of co-lead female actress in it, more than the other 2.
I always loved this scene as a kid.
yeah,
I really love when there's a secret world wrapped in and hidden within the reality of our own world.
Yes.
I just
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was really cool.
Like they do that in the Matrix too, and they're standing there, and I guess they're in the Matrix, but they're standing amongst a crowd and talking
Yeah.
about it, and yeah, because it makes. Well, I always think about this in like not just movies like this, but like spy movies, like Mission Impossible or something, where like they're doing a secret meet, like in a really crowded place. Like, have I ever walked by like a secret like
We've had to.
CIA or like IMF like operation happening in like a public park or mall? Yeah, because we live in LA, we live in a big city that I didn't know about that was happening. Like the stake of. The stakes of the world are like,
Going
in
on at a
play,
park right
like,
down
you know
the
what I mean?
street.
Like, this happens in movies all the time. Like, have I ever been close
Right.
to that actually happening? I think about that a lot. Yeah.
I don't remember. You know how sometimes your memories get foggy? I don't remember if it was me or for friends only, but there's this one time where they saw 3 black Suburbans driving down the freeway in unison with each other, like right behind each other.
Oh,
going
like
the same
Sicario style, like when they go over the border, they're driving like 3 feet away from each other, like 60 miles an hour. Like,
Can you imagine just seeing that?
like, what is that? Yeah. Who's in there? Like, where are they
Right.
going? Yeah.
So it's interesting. I was going to point out, Deacon is in the sunlight and he's just fine. So I guess in this movie they decided that they would let the vampires have this kind of sunscreen that would be sufficient.
That's why he's so
enough
pale. He's wearing less sunscreen.
Well, no.
I think it's kind of funny.
No. The thing is, that's part of what he's been trying to do. He's discovered this way. That's why he can temporarily be outside.
You see, they just did the
I have a tough time buying it.
the elaborate CG bullet dodge he did too. This was the year before the Matrix.
That was very Matrix.
This did it before the Matrix. Yeah.
So I guess we know where the Matrix stole it from, huh?
No Kelsey sisters, they took it.
Not sisters at the time. They were still brothers.
I'm calling them sisters. They're sisters now. They learned it.
They went from brothers to siblings to sisters.
Yeah, we call them siblings now.
No, they're both sisters now.
I know, but I remember at one of the places I worked recently, we had to call them siblings.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hey, whatever floats their boat.
Yeah. So what do we're like, how long are we in? We had another 47 minutes and this doesn't feel long. Like,
it doesn't.
I go back to the older movies, and I feel like movies nowadays, they're, I can't make that statement because sometimes I see movies that are just expanded for no reason. Mm-hmm. Other times I see movies that just don't necessarily cater to the 3-act structure. But I go back and I watch old movies, and they just feel so long. But this feels like right.
I hate this scene. I felt so bad for them that Blade was in there. They're in Whistler's Blade, and they just they don't have a chance. I mean, they're going.
Oh, this is what you think Whistler's gonna bite the dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, pretty much does. Sort of.
Well, this is his whole team is liabilities, really. So I mean, unless he's there to protect him.
It's great that Whistler trusts her to help him fight. I mean, he has no choice.
Yeah, he doesn't have a choice.
Oh. Shot in the leg.
Shot in the leg, cause you're too late. Blade's not there. Just get your hate. I don't know. I'm just trying to rap or sing rock. I can't do it.
How old is Frost? I mean, how old is the actor in real life? Steven, right?
I think he's like mid-20s, honestly. I think he's pretty young.
Why was he so big at this time?
Because the Britney Spears movie we talked about, the music video.
The music video. I think the music video was after this.
On the cover of the DVD, it says Wesley Snipes in big, lettering, then Blade, and then right under that it says Stephen Dorff. Like, he must have been a big deal.
I don't know. Stephen Dorff was popular. I mean, he wasn't an A-lister, but he was popular.
Yeah.
I do not remember what movie he was popular from, though. I can't tell you that. I didn't follow Stephen Dorff's movies.
He was in a little movie called the something Squad.
He was in Underworld?
He was in a movie called The Monster Squad as a kid.
Monster Squad.
Yeah. It's not that scary, though.
No, it was a kid's movie.
When I was a kid, it was.
Monster Squad was a kid's
I still can't get over the cinematography here.
Oh no! This movie. I feel yes. It stands up.
It's a gorgeously shot movie. Again, I'll always bring it up. Shot anamorphic, 2:35:1 aspect ratio. Love it. Makes it seem epic, very cinematic.
On film.
On film, yeah, 35 millimeter.
Guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at Steven's credits, and he really was not in much before this movie. I mean, he was in this movie that I actually really love called Space Truckers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, yeah, that's right.
So he must have had, basically he must have had a hell of an agent who negotiated to get his name right under the title, second billing to Wesley Snipes.
I mean, he was uncredited in Zoolander shortly after. So.
I forgot. Whistler does die in this movie.
Well, it's weird.
He comes back, though. They bring him back.
They bring him back somehow, yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
In number... No,
but
he
they
does die, though. In number 2, he's in this, liquid thing that,
And they bring him back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But he's not a vampire, though.
Looks like we got to do Blade 2 soon.
I know, right?
That'll come season 2.
No, I'm excited because I'm a big Guillermo del Toro fan, so that'll be cool to revisit.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 2 was a really good one.
I remember the music being exceptional in the second one as well. And just the fight scenes. Yeah, you're right. I do remember Guillermo aspects. I remember them the flipping and doing those spins that are holding onto a bar and doing those spins and the camera follows them. I remember all of that.
Creature stuff, practical effects. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, Stephen Dorff really wasn't in much before this movie, which is crazy that he got such high billing on the DVD cover and everything.
I think he was just kind of the hot kid
young,
at the time.
Yeah,
at the time. So, but I do not remember what movie it was. Put him on the map.
I don't know if anything actually.
No.
If anything, it would be this movie that people remember him for. I think. I don't know.
What, Steven Dorff?
Yeah, I mean,
so that means he had a good agent.
I'd say more of a Britney Spears thing than this, to be honest.
I didn't know him from that. Martin probably did though.
I did.
He has a vampire bite.
Come on, guys. Everybody, don't even act like you didn't like Britney.
I love Britney.
I think I was more of like a Christina Aguilera fan at the time. At this point, 20 years ago. Just saying.
Just saying. I was more of a Lil Kim fan.
Come on, have you seen the Genie in a Bottle music video? Let's be honest.
Chris, can you grab me a beer?
We were all about 13, 14 when that came out.
Going through puberty.
I know. Yeah, let's not get too deep into that. It's a confusing time in our lives, all right? Oh yeah, I forgot Steven Dorff was in the second. Oh no, he's in the upcoming third season of True Detective. There's a little career resurgence.
I mean, hopefully that third season's better than the second.
Wait, and he's got there's a movie called Morbius coming up that he's in. Isn't that
is it actually Morbius?
So Sony, in their infinite wisdom, decided to do a couple solo Spider-Man movies to take advantage of the superhero universe they still own the rights to.
Sinister Six?
Well, they were doing the Sinister Six before.
That's canceled.
Morbius has nothing to do with the Sinister Six.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
But they were originally, as Chris was saying, doing a Sinister Six movie, but then they killed it when the Andrew Garfield series, I guess, came to an
right.
halt.
Yes.
So
that's kind of interesting that Blade fought Morbius, which you showed us, and now he might Steven Dorff in his movie.
The two upcoming things that I put in development were Morbius and Kraven. They're going to do a Kraven movie now too.
West
Really?
No, Kraven, the superhero, the villain. It's okay.
Yeah,
not the same Kraven from Underworld.
Not that Kraven.
No, he's a superhero. He's a villain. He's a villain, and he's like a hunter. Yeah, he's in Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, exactly.
That vampire episode from Spider-Man the cartoon,
it's called Kraven the Hunter,
freaked me out as a kid. The one he had the little suckers on his hand. Remember that? No. Somebody out there remembers that. Make sure you comment.
Guys, what do you think about Jaden Smith for the TV show, The Blade?
No.
Damn. No.
Well, I know what Martin's opinion is from his favorite movie After Earth. Martin's keeping his mouth shut. Martin did not respond immediately to that.
Chris, what is his favorite movie? It's
not my favorite movie.
Okay, second favorite. Okay, how can a movie you saw 11 times at the theater not be your favorite movie?
Okay, so you're telling me the same... If you were stranded on a desert island...
Oh, well, you weren't stranded.
If you were stranded on a desert island...
You weren't. You were living in Los Angeles.
This sounds like a lot like After Earth.
To watch.
That's right, folks. Martin saw After Earth in the theater 11 times.
If you're stranded...
This is a fact we should repeat during every podcast. Like, I never watched the X-Men series, and Martin saw After Earth. M. Night Shyamalan's After Earth in theaters 11 times. Just let that sink in.
Wait. What film was the #1 trending trailer after Comic-Con?
Well, Split.
Okay.
Or, I mean, Glass. I mean,
Glass.
But, you know, he's come a long way. He's come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I fell off the Shyamalan train. I'm back on. But we'll talk about that during Unbreakable.
Yes.
But, Jaden Smith, I did not see the Karate Kid remake, but I
just watched that in the barber shop last week.
Wait, what?
The barber shop.
In the barber shop?
You saw who?
It was up in the screen.
Oh,
you never been to a black barber shop, Chad?
But no, I have not.
There's usually a pool table, and there's a movie playing.
There's a pool table?
Usually,
and there's some PlayStation sometimes. So you got
most of what I know about
NBA, 2K, whatever year
black
it is.
barbershops comes from Coming to America.
so just so you guys know,
with Eddie Murphy playing multiple characters, including Jewish characters.
LeBron James is actually in. I guess he's developed a new unscripted TV series that is going to have multiple very famous people like Snoop Dogg, Jon Stewart, and other people, and it is going to be about them traveling to barbershops and just kind of talking about real things.
Okay.
Famous people in cars going to barbershops.
Going to barbershops.
All right.
It's like the black comedians in cars getting coffee. Okay.
Hey, it works.
What's wrong with that?
It works.
No, that is fascinating. You know, I'll learn stuff.
The barbershop,
you know?
I think it makes sense. Yeah, no, it's a good setting.
Barbershop. That was Tim's story, right, Chris?
I'm sorry.
Probably.
That's Tim's story, right? Barbershop directed it.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
Yes.
Then they did Beauty Shop with Queen Latifah.
Which is also a great movie.
Tim Story was.
I honestly haven't seen any of them.
They did 2 barbershops, and now they did a third.
Was
It's
Think
a
Like
third
a Man the first African American led film to break 100 mil? I forgot.
That. Oh no.
I thought that was Blade number 1.
No.
Opening weekend. I don't remember. It was
Blade number 1
like
didn't break 100
No,
mil.
I'm just kidding. I'd like it to be.
Doesn't Stephen Dorff
No,
look kind of
but-
like Chris Pine in the shot?
A little bit.
A
I
little
see
Chris
it.
Pine
does.
thing going on. Yeah, it's
see that.
interesting.
I don't know if
You
it
don't know?
was. It might
Yeah.
be Kevin Hart's first one. That
I
did.
mean, now since we're on Blade, was Tim Story the first black director to direct a superhero franchise, right? Or a superhero film?
That's possible.
Yeah.
Was he? I mean,
Did you do Fantastic?
actually,
Four?
well, I
He did
won't say
both.
that. The team's mainstream. I mean, we had Robert Townsend did Meteor Man.
Meteor Man. I freaking love that movie.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
that was technically, I guess,
What
the
about Blake
first
Man?
black superhero.
Blank
Man.
Blake Man, baby.
So like Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Damon Wayans didn't direct that though. But yes,
Whoever directed that was a great
Who directed
movie too.
Steel?
That's a great question.
he's not taking credit for
with
whoever did.
Shaq. Hey, you're the black superhero. Wasn't
Yes.
Steel before this movie? So
He
was
was.
Steel your
Yes.
like go-to black superhero for a couple of years before Blade?
No.
No, not at all.
I don't think no. But hey,
No,
hey, comment if you want us to do Steel. I want comments if
No,
you want us to do
honestly,
Steel.
I don't
This has to be
know-
popular
Yeah,
demand.
I don't know if I've ever seen Steel, honestly.
I'm
So
sorry to
I
hear
would
that.
love it if we did
I'm
Steel.
sorry to hear you haven't seen
Okay.
that.
Ryan, you own that
It's-
on
it's one of
DVD.
the
I would
best
be excited to do
movies.
it, but I need your guys' help
Steel's
to
right up there
let's
with
do Steel.
Shazam. Or whatever it's
Shazam?
called.
Was it Kazam or Shazam?
No, Kazam.
Kazam.
I've
No.
seen Kazam a million
No.
times.
We're getting Shazam next year.
So going back to the movie now, stuff's getting pretty wily, as we can see.
Yeah.
Plans are coming into shape.
We're smack dead in the third act, guys.
Yeah.
It's that climax.
Yes.
I'm feeling it.
After
Feeling that
Whistler's been
climax.
killed.
See, now he means no business. Blade's not messing around anymore.
See, there's more
Yeah.
like ancient Egyptian artifacts, so it definitely was papyrus earlier.
Yeah, I can see it. It was
Oh wait, no,
not
that's not
ancient
Egyptian. That's not Egyptian. Never mind.
Those are-
No, there was definitely Egyptian stuff earlier. I don't know
That
what.
looks like
I don't know
from
what.
Singapore.
I don't know what culture.
I don't
this
believe
is.
you.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ooh,
Oh,
stabbed in the eye.
the face.
We're about to see her. Once again, can't remember her name, but the character that's kind of the lead actress. We're seeing her stuff come to fruition
Oh.
now. It's
Yes.
Oh, the exploding
blue
serum.
juice,
Yes.
the explosion.
This is a new weapon.
What? Oh, this is.
Wait, so the exploding serum, that's good for... I mean...
Oh, that's
his-
graphic.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was
good.
That was a lot of blood.
So the serum is for who?
So much.
Well, no, it was one.
vampires,
It was
right?
Well, it was one of her. She was trying to cure herself, so she made this serum. She was experimenting with serums and trying to
Yep.
cure herself.
I discussed this earlier.
That was a great effect.
And now it's
That was a really good
mentioned this
effect. That
earlier,
holds
and,
up. I'll dig it.
That was pretty good.
and it became a weapon.
Yep.
And so the thing is, honestly, at the end of this movie, they were kind of setting her up to take over Whistler's spot.
Were they? Really?
Well,
thought they were?
I mean,
guess-
that was kind of like the end of it, where she kind of like she survived. Well, spoiler
Can you
alert.
imagine a sexual
She
tension
survives.
between those two?
Oh yeah.
Just like...
no.
This
He
looks like
kind of goes his own way, is what I recall.
this looks like the room that Tom Cruise drops into in Mission Impossible.
I also
Like
feel
how
like...
come Blade
Oh
doesn't
no,
hang down?
this is.
I'm waiting for Triple H. Go ahead, Chris,
here.
I'm sorry.
Here's his mom. Though.
Sauna?
His mom.
Blade like
Mom.
I.
His mom.
Oh.
survives. That's right.
I forgot that was his mom. I was gonna say like, is he like? I just hit the jackpot. It's like no. Wait, now
Yeah.
how is she still alive?
She was
What do
bitten.
you mean?
His
She
mom.
was bitten.
She was bitten. She became a vampire. That's
She's
how
a
he became a
vampire now.
vampire.
Wow.
Wait, that's her? That's not like a replicant?
Long movie.
No, this is Blade, not Blade
Part of-
Runner.
Part of the Clone
Different-
Wars of the Blade.
She's part of Deacon's entourage. Now it's just like
Blade
secret
Runner.
weapon.
This is Blade Runner 2000.
She hasn't aged. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
see, that was a secret weapon.
Damn it, Mom.
I think there's a little incestual
yeah,
thing
see,
going
yeah.
on there.
That's mean.
Isn't that a little disturbing? It gets a little incestual, not in this scene, but in a later scene. She does a little
So she hasn't aged at all.
Well, because
She's not-
she's a vampire.
Yeah, she's a vampire.
Yeah, I think Wesley Snipes is actually like he's like 9 years older than the actress who plays his mom.
This is this was the interesting thing about. So he does actually age clearly because he was a boy. He was a baby.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, they nenever really explain when that was in the movie, so you don't really know how old he is in the movie, from what I can remember.
Oh yeah, they said it was
now
1967.
must be 98.
It's 1967
1967. Oh, and
to now, which
Which
is
is
I
when-
guess 98.
That's like 30 something.
and he looks like he's in his 40s. So he's getting,
He always looks
I think
like
he's actually getting older.
Wesley Snipes was in his late 30s, I think, when they shot this movie.
He's supposed to be
Damn.
early 30s. He looks like he's late
Another-
40s, and he doesn't age at all. So this is interesting.
another movie where we go back and look at the actors and they're in their 30s, like early 30s.
It's like Dawson's
Everybody,
Creek.
yeah.
Dawson's Creek.
Well,
they
except
had
for
28-year-olds playing
Stephen Dorff.
16-year-olds.
How old is he?
He's like 24, 25,
Yeah.
I think, when they shot
All right, I'm
this.
gonna put this one to bed. I'm gonna find out what the deal with Stephen Dorff is. I want to know how old he is.
Find the
now.
Dorff on Dorff.
So I guess something that we've been talking about. This movie looks good and it's a good movie. It holds up and everything. But like the director of this movie, Stephen Norrington, this was his second feature, and I believe he's only directed in his career 4 theatrically released feature films.
Wow.
The last one being 2003's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He has not directed anything.
I actually love that.
Anything since
I did
that.
too, actually. I really like
And his
that.
only IMDb credits since 2003 are like doing some little visual effects
Oh,
work on like very small productions. So, but apparently, I don't know. It's like you can blame him for the guy who forced Sean Connery into retirement, because Sean Connery had such a horrible time filming The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
I do
in
recall
2003 that he quit acting, and we have not seen Sean Connery in a live action major movie in 15 years. So thanks, Stephen Norrington. Could have made a better movie, and then we still have.
I
Oh my
still
God,
haven't seen
guys.
it. I've fallen asleep every time I've watched that movie.
I've never seen it. I've never
I've
seen
just
it.
discovered the most unique coincidence.
What?
Yes.
Stephen Dorff was born in July of 1973. Tomb of Dracula 10, first appearance of Blade, was July 1973.
Nice.
What a unique coincidence.
Destined to appear.
If anyone doesn't know that, I just learned something
In
really
Blade.
interesting that everyone now knows. So, Stephen Dorff was born the same month and year that Blade was created. Boom.
Wow.
I can't imagine that.
And now he's going to appear in the Morbius movie, Who Fought Blade, which is the issue
It's
you brought us today.
Right.
It's coming. It's
Listen,
all coming
is
together.
he going to be Morbius?
Hmm?
Is he going to be Morbius?
Yeah, what characters?
Who was he going to play? Was he going to be Morbius? I didn't really. I don't
No,
think it said on
This has
IMDb.
already been announced. Jared Leto is going to be Morbius.
How many people is
wow.
Jared? All right.
Well, he's not going to be Joker, I guess.
No, he is going to be.
No, he's still going to be Joker.
But we're also getting the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That's
Warner
gonna be-
Brothers is
That's,
doing.
that's
It's
going to be a
getting
grittier, darker one, which I'm really
right.
excited for.
Todd
I want
Phillips
that
is directing that. That'll be.
Yeah.
That'll
It's
be
gonna be interesting.
I'm a
interesting.
little scared for what Warner Brothers is doing.
I'm not really sure. They're thinking about coming up with a sub-label too, where you have DC and like DC Dark
Yeah,
or something.
DC,
Well, yeah,
which
no.
is where
That's
the
going to
Justice League Dark
confuse
movie-
the hell out
I
of
might not have a
everybody.
job next year.
You know, they're going a unique route. We'll see how it goes.
I don't
I'm
know.
keeping my hopes
It's,
up.
it's just
But at the same time, like when I was putting together the timeline, because when we were thinking about releasing films for this podcast, we were thinking about doing Marvel and DC back and forth, right? So from Superman all the way down to X-Men, that was all DC. Like most of the major films are all DC.
Yeah.
So
no Marvel.
They're gonna go back and forth. I mean, unless one
for
acquires
theatrical films.
Well,
yeah, you literally
so-
had like
yeah.
Howard the Duck and then nothing,
Yeah.
and then
I mean-
nothing. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's very possible it could.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true. DC. Yeah, you're right. For 20 years,
It's
DC from 78 to 98 or so,
Yeah.
DC was the box office king.
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And now look at now Marvel's
Granted.
taken over the last.
all I can remember
15
is
years.
the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. The who's Baywatch? Who's the guy from
Hasselhoff?
Hasselhoff.
He did a Nick
Nick
Fury.
Fury.
Right, but that was a
He did the
TV
Fury
movie,
one,
though.
yeah.
That
Was it a TV
yeah,
movie?
it's a
Oh, I
TV
did not know
movie,
that.
yeah.
Dolph Lundgren also now this is a DC character, but Dolph Lundgren did do the Masters of the Universe He-Man movie. That was but that was DC. But that was
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but that's true. DC was ruling actual
Yeah.
like American theatrical movies.
Yeah.
For
superhero movies,
from
yeah.
super, even though like some of them worked better than others, but they still were making money. And
there's the Fantastic Four movie from the early '90s that was
Well,
never,
that too.
never
That was
went
their
to- never went
release.
to public viewing. But you can actually watch the entire thing on YouTube.
Can you?
You can.
And that Captain America one
And the
from
Captain
1990, which didn't get a
Yep.
theatrical release in the U.S., but overseas it did.
I'm
But
just gonna say it.
Still.
We may want to watch the never released Fantastic Four.
I would
You do?
love that.
B-level movie.
Let's watch that movie.
I want to watch it.
Every time you laugh, you have to take a shot.
we're gonna be done.
We're gonna be too drunk to do anything. Because the costume design alone on that set.
Did you guys ever see the fourth season of Arrested Development where Tobias is like dating the woman who was like Sue Storm in the it was supposed to be in the terrible version of the Fantastic Four from the early 90s? I don't know.
All right, so just going back to Blade now. I know we get on these tangents occasionally, but just bear with us here. We're finally getting to the eventual climax in the movie where Stephen Dorff's character, Deacon Frost, ultimately becomes this major, powerful vampire god villain. So
okay, but that's with the kind of this ancient iconographies they're trying to awaken like this blood god or something.
Yes, La Mongra.
Through the papyrus. Through the papyrus.
Papyrus.
Is it Egyptian? What culture is?
This is what I'm going to tell you guys. This scene right here where she, God, I wish I knew her name. I feel bad. Or at least the character.
Sana?
No, that's not Sana.
Let's just say her character, whatever.
The co-lead actress that is with
Yes.
Blade in the movie. This is the scene where they push her into the pit, and she meets her original friend, Doctor Guy, and I will tell you, this scene in the movie, for whatever reason, when I first saw it, it scared me to hell. There was just the darkness and the sounds and seeing him, and I was really happy to see her crawl back to the top because it was freaking me out.
Oh, shit.
Just the guy from the beginning. He was in the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
he was the one that gets bit by Quinn in the beginning.
It's very Shakespearean.
It's very dark.
His voice. So he's like a zombie now. So they create. This is the only other time in the three movies that they introduce a different kind of unique creature than a vampire. And it's just like zombie, like before he becomes a vampire.
It's very dark too.
Yeah.
Oh, that is scary.
It's scary, right? And he's like he's gonna eat her. You know. Just
how old are you here?
Oh, I mean, 98. I was 14 when this movie came out.
Somewhere 98.
I was probably when I first saw this, maybe my mid-teens somewhere. Yeah.
When did she learn karate?
Well, she's just beating the shit out of him.
I think she was just beating with
Yeah, she's not karate. Oh, thank God she had that stick to get out of there.
Get up there.
No.
I have anxiety right now watching this.
I know.
I'm going to grab her leg.
Now, do they travel to this temple?
Yes.
This looks like a set, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a set.
No, that's not a set. That looks like a temple that they.
Do we know what country they're in? Did they say?
No,
I think they're in L.A.
They're still.
This is not. Is it?
How is this, guys?
Yeah, this is
the
headquarters.
No, I mean like. Okay,
you mean where the characters based at?
Where are they supposed to be?
No,
in the
this
movie?
is they're still in town.
Okay, so they like had brought this ancient temple stuff. They shipped all this in and recreated it.
Yeah.
Built
This is we see. The
I don't know. I didn't see them travel to Egypt or anything.
They're definitely not in Egypt. Yeah, I agree with Chris. I think they probably brought this stuff here, and they just needed the artifacts that they knew they needed to get this done.
Wait, so they're trying to they're trying to bring that
the blood god.
Is
that
Blade?
the third one? Is that the premise? They're trying to do what they're trying to do in the third one right now.
Is Blade being frozen into carbonite here?
The third one is they find the original vampire. They find Dracula. And he's in the desert in like Egypt or somewhere. This one they're trying to. This must have been like a villain that came because Dracula was the first ever vampire. So this must have been some sort of blood god thing that came much later after Dracula and the original Egyptian history of the vampires in this movie cinematic universe. So they're trying to, bring him back into, put him into, some like a character, and Stephen Dorff's gonna take him in. I'm having a really tough time explaining exactly how I want to create this image of what I'm saying, but for some reason I don't know why. So.
Well, if they're watching with us, then they're watching it with us.
That's true.
Right.
We're gonna say
watching. Yeah.
I was just saying this reminds me of like it looks like Blade's about to get like frozen in carbonite like Han Solo. This is him talking to her here is like the I love you, I know moment.
I don't recall the blood god being. I don't know if he was a comic book character. He might have been, but yeah, I mean Blade definitely went up against Deacon Frost several times in the comics, so they're pretty good, back and forth villain superheroes.
Well, guys, I thought I was going to make it, but
this was the incestuous thing I was telling you about.
Bathroom break.
Number one.
Oh, Martin made it. You made it like an hour and a half. Not bad.
You know what I did? I went there first, so hey, you good.
Oh, you just made so much noise on the speaker.
Hey, you realize his mom isn't his mom anymore. All right.
He's a replicant.
He's a host.
Good old vampire. Now,
He's a-
now, if you were Blade, could you wind up killing your mother if you found out that your mother was still alive after been searching for her, and she's a vampire eating people?
I mean, look, he doesn't end up killing her in the movie. The girl does it for him, essentially. But,
Yes.
he's pretty ruthless. I think he could do it. I think he just wants to kill vampires.
Well, he saved the girl who just reminded him of his mother.
That's true, but
So-
I think there's more meaning to that.
No, but no, there's more. I mean, he would be he's fighting his his mission where she is actually eating people.
Yeah, well, she's clearly established she's not good anymore. So
Oh yeah, no, and this scene
easier
she
for
pretty
her.
much taunts him, saying she's eat people and hunts and loves it. So
But this is
hi, Mom. This is
using this kind of method of torture. I can't think of too many movies where you'd see something like this, but it's pretty violent.
Well, yeah, and now
Is it filling up with his blood?
Yes, he's being there's stakes in him right now.
Yeah,
draining
yeah,
his
yeah.
blood.
But you know what's funny about it? All that blood, it only leads to the one drop that falls on Chris Deacon's head. Literally, it's the one drop in the
What
end.
happens to the rest of it?
I don't know.
It has to travel a whole
It's moving along very.
Oh, you just got my thing all wet. That was Martin.
Of course, we have accident. Oh, and
Martin makes a lot of noise behind the couch.
I'll be
All right.
we're back.
Trying not to make a mess.
This girl climbed out of a hole like she was,
Okay, this is definitely not something they just rebuilt in L.A.
I'm just saying,
This
couldn't
supposed
they
to be an
just,
probably
ancient temple,
underground.
like under
take a
this.
little blood
It's
from
probably
I
underground.
don't know what city they're in.
No, they're right there.
A hangar.
Look, that's the town.
Well, the area code on that phone number on the side of the building was 555, so that doesn't help us at all. Wait, I think that was L.A. they just showed.
Yeah, no, it's
So
That's
who
still in
knows what
town.
exists in the creepy underbelly of Los Angeles?
because he went looking
The
after.
floodlights, though.
Magra, the blood god.
Yes, the manga.
It's so crazy how much of the Asian influence is in this movie. The Asian influence.
I'm just getting very like Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions vibes right
Yeah.
now too.
Well, it's mainly because she's dressed.
Yeah, it's just like the style
white.
of dress and
Like
the
it.
style of their hair and like the. I don't know.
Well, I think the style of her hair.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did they eventually change?
Ooh.
Well, they kind of need him for the.
What was I reading about? Matrix made like leather and trench coats popular again, but then like the Columbine shooters.
That was right around the same time too when that
Yeah.
movie came out and then that
She
shooting.
just killed one of the
yeah.
born vampires. Wouldn't that have screwed up all the plans?
That's
Didn't
what I feel
they
like.
make
I
all
feel
of
like
this?
yes,
I'm a little
They-
confused.
they need the purebloods.
So-
summon Lamagra.
So, question: How do you guys feel if this scenario would happen differently? So, Steven Dorff, he becomes the Magra essentially, but you can tell he still clearly has his own,
Agenda.
his own personality still.
Right.
Do you think it would have been interesting if they would have played it off where he's a different person altogether?
Where he's
now?
full on possessed? No.
Yeah, you
Well-
like it better where he's still Deacon Frost.
Well, I think that because you want the guy, you want him to be taken down.
Okay.
He's the bad
Yeah,
guy.
fair point.
So-
Because they could have gone that route. But
Yeah, he gets turned to something else. It's like now he's fighting some monster just popped out of nowhere.
Like, who cares? Okay.
So she's finally, her skills as a doctor is finally coming into play here.
Well,
Don't see it too
her skills have been playing. That's where that little exploding thing
Well,
came
her
from.
skills as a doctor
she
is
just
that
told him-
he's about to eat him.
Well, she's a hematologist and she told him he's bleeding to death, so
Yeah,
her
that's-
bedside manner is great.
She did
Got
say
that
it in a
down.
nice calming
She
voice.
passed that
though.
exam in medical school.
She
Is she
had
about to,
a nice calming voice.
Yeah. Is he gonna feed off of her?
Yeah,
Yes.
and so just
she's
so you guys-
offering. She's offering herself as a
Yeah.
meal.
Well, just so you
to
guys are aware,
return.
so the blood that he's taking in, I'm pretty sure, at least in the movie, it's not fully. It doesn't fully
Synthetic?
fulfill him.
Yeah.
I think there's something to it. Whereas I think taking real live her blood definitely gives him a bit of a more even kind of advantage in the sense of gaining more strength and becoming more stronger. So I think that helped him out personally.
Yeah. So he's about to go
yeah.
Super Saiyan here.
Yeah,
Yes,
essentially
he has
Super
to,
Saiyan
yeah.
3, I'd say. Maybe even Ultra Saiyan.
Boy, this blood took its time moving through these little passageways.
That's what I'm
Oh, it's a big touch. It's all.
So never mind. The blood
Cavern.
does hit everybody, then he gets the one drop.
So these are all of the
These are the
head vampires.
They're called pure bloods, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pure blood vampires.
The
These are the
establishment.
originals.
Yes, the government. I mean, the establishment of the.
Not
Vampire.
Not original, but they were born. They were born. They were
Yes.
born as vampires, whereas they weren't made. That's the difference. They weren't like
Yes.
an original vampire. Like that's
Yeah.
Dracula back then, but I'm sure they're really old though. But yeah.
Yeah. I think when
Well, they'll
we
want
tilt
vampires.
up on the camera, that looks like a set. Right? It looks like a miniature. I wonder
Oh,
if that is.
I
don't
That could
know.
be miniature.
Yeah,
It could be, yeah.
that's possible for these big
Comes the
shots.
wind,
in the ceiling.
you know,
Big
got
shots that are close up like that.
Is that going to
Deacon
fall
showing his
all the
chest.
way from the ceiling, and he's going to be
It's gonna
exactly
hit
under it?
right on the forehead. Yep,
Pretty good aim.
I know.
He was able
Oh,
to
hey,
anticipate.
it's
Oh,
natural.
I see.
It's built that way.
That's thick blood.
It's coagulated.
It's vampire
Coagulate.
blood.
That's
Well,
that syrup and food coloring.
That's CG.
Well,
But
yeah, that's okay. It's going to be one
That's
giant
That blood is Kool-Aid color.
drop.
Yeah, Blood's in a
Good to the last drop.
Blade's in a good mood now. He just
we go,
drank all
here we
that
go.
blood.
How long do you think it's been since he's had like human blood?
Long
It's been a
time.
long
man.
time
He
since
needed
he
it.
hasn't eaten.
Probably since he was a
Ooh.
kid, right? So if you met Whistler when he was like, let's
Yeah.
say 11, 13, adolescence.
What has he been feeding on?
Like synthetic blood or something.
Synthetic
it
blood, yeah.
all
This is what
synthetic?
Whistler was
Yeah,
eating.
it's just synthetic
Okay.
just
blood
to,
that
just to
developed.
barely keep him, well enough. That's essentially what he's been doing.
They couldn't have been like, raiding like, morgues and stuff just to get him some taste,
Oh.
or they didn't want to.
Well, the thing is, he didn't
Oh.
want. The thing is, he didn't want to like drink real blood because that gives you a craving for real blood.
Now, what is the blood
That's
hitting
wrong.
him in the forehead? What does that do? He's not like ingesting it.
He does kill his mom. I take that back. Yeah, he does kill her.
Yeah.
What was that, Chad?
The blood hitting him and the other people in the forehead. What does that do?
That's part of the prophecy.
but
That's
they're
what
not
they have to do.
ingesting it. Okay,
No,
but
it's
now
that's just see how the lightning.
now it's
works?
conducting.
It's like
yeah,
a conductor, exactly.
Gotcha.
So I'm just gonna point out something interesting, and we're gonna see it pretty soon. But Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool actually mentions this in the first Deadpool movie, and it's coming pretty soon.
Wait, really?
Yes. The good old-fashioned superhero. What is it?
Oh,
when they
the
jump.
landing?
Superhero
Superhero
landing.
Oh,
landing.
superhero landing.
Blade will be doing a
Oh,
very
okay.
long superhero landing pretty soon.
Love it.
Sometimes the superhero landing looks good.
This
Oh,
one
yeah.
it does. In this one,
Okay.
it looks badass.
A lot of times it looks good. It's just
Like-
at times it looks too fake.
Like
That's the
Silk
problem. But
Spectre's
this is-
superhero landing from Watchmen?
Yeah.
Amazing.
But is this one of the first, unless Batman did it in some of the Batman movies?
Oh, sure, Batman.
Or
I don't know
Batman
if he
definitely
did.
did.
Or maybe the Superman movies too, but like...
I'm sure he did though. Yeah. I this is definitely one of my favorite superhero landings. So Ryan Reynolds, my friend, thank you for letting us know how popular they were.
Yes.
Martin, don't you just want an opportunity to do that in your real life?
Superhero landing?
Superhero landing.
Remember that awesome picture of us jumping off the Paramount Pictures fountain?
Yep. We did the Power Rangers kick.
Hi-ya, I think was your caption.
You have to
It's
show
the
people
best.
that
It's
picture.
the best. We should share that on the Cape Seat Free page at some point.
We were just talking about this today. Then we came full circle.
Yeah.
Were you at the party at my
Hi,
house
Mom.
last year when the actors who played the Power Rangers came?
No, I don't think so.
Rocky
Yeah.
was there.
I gotta be honest, I
I
never
wasn't there
watched
either.
Power Rangers either.
Oh my god!
I never
What
was
did you
into-
watch as a kid?
Did you?
I don't know, but not any of the shows you guys are talking about.
Did you
I watched
watch
a lot.
Arthur? At
I
least.
did. I watched some Arthur.
Ah,
some.
Real Monsters.
Yes, I did watch that. Yes.
Okay.
All right, tangent number 3.
Okay, I gotta say these CG skeleton creatures don't look great.
They don't.
They look a
agree.
little
No,
better
no.
than.
Great.
It-
They
They're
look way
okay.
better than the ones from Ghost.
Now this.
I don't know.
this-
They look like Ghostbusters.
Now this is a major. This is a
pretty
major
bad.
Hollywood production. This is probably the level of CG you'd expect from like a sci-fi original feature on TV
Yeah.
nowadays. You know what I mean?
Nowadays,
Right,
yes.
that's cartoon.
Yes. Yes.
It's
But at
crazy
the
to think
time, yeah, it was good. 20 years ago today, when this came out, let's
Right.
not forget how momentous of an occasion.
Agreed. That's number 2, Chris.
Now, do you think this is the best shape Wesley Snipes is ever in his life?
I'm sure up there. He's
I mean-
pretty jacked.
I mean, he's pretty
Cut.
jacked in this.
I think he was a little bit more agile in like Demolition Man.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But he's definitely been Jackmaned.
That was a few years before that. What was that, like 92, 93?
Hugh
So that was like
Jackman.
5 years before this. I
He
think.
was Hugh Jackman.
He's Hugh Jackmaned.
Huge Jackman.
No, wasn't Demolition mid-late 90s?
95.
93.
No, I don't think so.
I want to say 93.
If Dredd was what, 95? Demolition Man must have been 94.
Okay.
Oh,
we
is
just
that
missed
Superhero Man.
I told
pretty
you.
good.
It's pretty awesome.
Demolition Man was 93.
It was.
I feel like
okay.
the tighter you are on your shot when you do the superhero landing, the better it is.
Agreed.
When it's like
Yeah,
that.
but grabbing the sunglasses.
Not even looking. He just touches. He just grabs him in the air, man.
Here we go.
This is very
Now we
Matrix.
got
right
This
here.
is very
Now we got
Matrix.
the,
Yeah, dude.
yes.
Maybe Matrix copied this movie more than
More than we realized.
realized.
This is This is what we.
This is very Matrixy.
Yeah, for sure.
And the music. Listen to the music.
No,
This
it
is
does sound-
very.
it does sound
This is
Matrix.
very like Matrix
I think
soundtrack.
the
right
Wachowski
Who did the
sisters
soundtrack?
may have taken a little bit from this.
I mean, I know
here. That kind of techno.
Don Davis did the music for
Yes,
The Matrix.
I love the Matrix soundtrack. Yeah.
It's funny. There's a bit of a comedic element to his fighting, his martial arts in this scene. For some
Yeah, you're
reason.
right.
The way the other actors, the other fighters react, it's kind of funny at some points, but it's cool though. It's really
Yeah,
interesting.
I agree.
I think you see Wesley Snipes' abilities come out pretty well, so it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no.
So I looking at this movie, it makes me realize like people take fight choreography for granted. Like
Yeah.
I remember
Oh, yeah.
my only problem with Batman Begins was the choreography. Like I couldn't see what was going on. That was Nolan, so
Hold on, are they shooting that? Like, how are they doing that? Is that like legit in the moment happening, or do you think they were doing that like fast stuff, or was that like speed framed up, or? how?
Chris, you're the
I felt like there was some of it probably speed framed up, but
Okay.
no,
Not too much though. 'Cause
not
usually
too
that's
much.
kinda
No, it
obvious.
wasn't. No,
I
it
think
was.
if you shoot it close up enough.
Okay. So you think they were really just going at it like that fast?
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
think
awesome.
so. Because they practice this stuff and they choreograph it.
There's been effects in this thing where they show like the vampires running and stuff, where they kind of
that's
speed
right.
up They
Yeah.
speed up a little bit.
Exploding
But that
head.
actually felt pretty
But-
legit, though. That's the crazy
Yeah.
thing.
yeah. Like
Well, a lot of this stuff
legit.
is legit.
that's-
Yeah.
that's not legit
for sure.
No, a lot of stuff
These
is
spin
legit.
kicks. This is amazing.
Multiple spin kicks too.
And it helps.
You can tell the camera work. They're like doing this like shaky stuff to make it feel like
It helps
Oh,
when you
yeah.
have a handheld camera, and it just
Yeah.
adds a lot of. It's very dynamic, and yeah, you're kind of lose track of what's going on, especially in the close-ups, and you can kind of fake stuff a lot more.
That's what I thought was so special about Batman vs Superman. There's a lot of like dolly shots and non-handheld fighting scenes that Batman was in.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
Blade was
that's
so
like the
badass.
There we
trailer
go.
shot right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Blade was so
Yeah,
badass.
That's
man.
great.
Wesley Snipes, he just killed it. All right, we get the
I
ultimate
kind of want to see
battle.
more movies with Wesley Snipes nowadays.
too.
You know what I mean?
That was a very martial arty kind of Japanese way he ran out.
That was
there
some
with the sword in
wire
the
work.
back.
Some wire
Yeah,
work.
that
I think,
wire
right
definitely
there.
wire work.
Great.
Yes.
that
Love
was
the wire
great.
work.
He went full on like Sabretooth. X-Men.
That's
and then
right.
The front
Yes.
flip and added to it.
Or
this is definitely speed
Kevin
frame.
Crumb in
And
the
glass trailer.
glass trailer.
that wire work with the full
Dude, that's
extension.
like legit wire work. That's what I'm excited about. That they put McAvoy like it looks like they put him in a harness.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love this. Look at these little the
That's it.
CGI embellishment enhancement
And-
with the sparks. Oh,
Yeah.
there's the hand.
This little cut.
But
So he
hey,
cut him in
yes.
half. He cut him in half. He got.
No,
he got
they-
the
Thanks to
Lamar held
Lamagra,
it
he's
together.
back.
But
He's
he
like,
came
what
back.
the?
Nice, Chris.
Awesome.
I did think that was a little cheesy. The
Okay, yeah,
That was cartoon.
That's okay. That was still cool though when he got cut in half
Yeah.
and like the blood column like held him together. Dude, this is intense. Look at this. This is crazy.
What is Chad? Tell us.
I don't know. Just the sword fighting here is really fast and intense. This is great. Whoa. And he ran around real
Yeah.
fast.
So Blade maybe a
is
little
great.
a little bit behind here and out of his own element because I think someone a little stronger is going up against him, but that didn't do anything.
Yeah, you can't defeat this guy.
Wow.
Let's-
The budget for this was 45 mil.
What?
Yeah.
Opening weekend
45?
was
crazy.
17, made 17.
God, it's crazy thing when you do
Gross.
45 mil now back then.
45 million was...
Gross was 131.1 mil
Okay.
worldwide.
45 was low even in 98 because We did X-Men recently, and that had like a $75 million budget, which was considered low at the time in 2000. So
wait, X-Men came out after this, right?
yeah, it was 2 years after this.
Yeah.
But
No,
So that's barely any addition to the budget.
Right.
What were you saying, Ryan?
Yeah.
there's a Matrix shot right there, like him going up.
No,
like
it was. You're right.
And that's
It's crazy. Oh, is this gonna make him
yes.
explode now?
Yes.
Yeah,
this
I'm a
is
little
the,
surprised this was the end.
I love
of
the slow
him.
track.
I would have thought he would have been able to survive this being who he is now, but I guess that's not the trick.
his one-liners.
You gotta have a good one-liner.
Yeah.
Kicks it into the forehead.
Come on, Lamagro, you can handle this.
So if you're not watching right now,
This is awesome.
Blade just he's gonna explode
Yes, he popped a lot of
So it's
that
kind of
new serum
It's expanding
into.
him out. This year.
now. That's gross. Thank you for pulling out.
Oh. How did he not? He didn't get anything on him. That seems impossible.
He was far enough away.
I would have run out of the way and gone behind one of those columns or something.
That was the weirdest shot I think of the whole movie.
Why?
They pulled back on him exploding. They wanted a full shot of it, of him exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
far
little.
away.
That is odd.
Yeah.
You think you'd go in on him because the explosion going towards
you're
him.
right.
Yeah.
That's strange. And then they had no splatter land on him.
Yeah, there's no
on him.
splatter.
Oh
at all.
yeah, I mean,
Wesley was like, I ain't getting dirty.
yeah, exactly.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with how much they used her in this movie.
I agree.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh, they are in L.A. So where did this whole temple come
it's all
from?
underground.
So they just built
But
it.
they built it.
I love this scene because it feels very reminiscent of just kind of old, dirty, like the Mel Gibson from what's the
Mad Max?
from like you feel like he's kind of they're almost like in this like Western apocalyptic
Yeah.
world right now. The music
Smoggy,
and
dirty.
the sound effects, yeah, like a whole new world's about to come over, but with Blade there obviously.
Fade outs.
You want to help me make me a better serum? He says.
Yes, she was
That's
gonna
a
make him a
great point,
cure,
Ryan.
but he's like, I'm still fighting.
No, we're in
Moscow. Wait,
Yes.
this goes to Russia now?
And that's where the second one
Yes.
starts. So yeah,
Oh. Okay.
I don't remember. Is this a?
yeah, this is what leads to number 2 when he's in Moscow.
So they set up
Well.
a sequel and actually got to deliver on it. A lot of movies don't get that chance.
That's true.
Yeah.
Don't get
And
that
no,
chance.
I mean this is kind of just an end scene, where you know that Blade's still at work, but yeah, it just set up a sequel.
But now he's international. He
I
wasn't
didn't realize he spoke
international
Russian, but
before.
he does apparently in this movie. So.
Oh yeah, he's supposed to have been well traveled. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, is it established in this universe that the vampires can live for hundreds of years? Because that happens
Oh,
in
yeah.
a lot of other.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
that's
that's-
definitely established. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I know he's only supposed to be born in modern times, but if he lives long enough, he has time to learn other languages and
That's true.
stuff, right?
Well, the thing is, I mean, he's been known for traveling around. That's why he knows that all these
That's true.
vampires are
Born in
underground
London,
all over the world.
Paris.
Yeah.
He has traveled around. Ended up in Boston.
It's just like Edward. You know,
When was he
how
in
many times
Boston?
has Edward graduated high school?
Richard the Bad Time comrade.
When does he go to Boston? Blade's in Boston?
In the comics, yeah. He
Oh,
does
in
it
the
there.
Cool.
Wow, this single lone vampire.
Oh, that was
never knew-
okay.
man.
That was an awesome cut to
Single
the
lone
credits.
vampire never.
That
knew
was
it coming.
badass. Like a really fast track in, pulling out the sword, cut to credits.
Like I really
Great.
want to be a single lone vampire going up against.
Yeah, Blade.
Yeah.
Blade.
There we go. There we go. Love it.
Cutting them up.
That was cool.
That
was
I've watched
good,
that movie in
man.
a long time.
I do love that movie.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
We have to give them credit for many things.
Oh yes.
We give Blade
Trailblazing.
credit for the diversity.
Well, and at the time, wouldn't be one of the biggest Marvel movies at
Yeah.
the time.
At the time,
Marvel
this
movies
was
weren't.
the biggest Marvel movie
Yeah.
ever made. Yeah.
Hold on, you said 40
And it was the black superhero.
and it did
That's the
130
actual-
global.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's triple. That's a little over triple its budget. I mean, that's probably pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I got 2 more sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, it's
Go ahead, Chris.
no. This movie set. I mean, it set up the Marvel. I mean, the Marvel movies that we have now, even the X-Men and all that stuff. This set it up.
I agree. I think it did too.
The ripple effect.
Because-
I mean, we've been talking this first season of Cape Seat for You. We've been watching the first movies in a lot of series. That kicked off things such as Iron Man and Batman Begins and X-Men and things like that. And Yeah, it's we've talked about this a lot. Just the ripple effect. If this movie hadn't happened or hadn't worked so well, like none of this afterwards would have happened, kind of thing. And it's kind of crazy. The butterfly effect of the whole thing. It's, it's great.
Like we were saying in the last podcast, I definitely agree that X-Men felt more in proximity to what we see nowadays.
Yes, that is true.
But there's no doubt this looked awesome, and it was a great movie, and the fighting and everything, and the comic book element. I agree. I think this really paved the way for future.
I know what you mean, because this movie's rated R, right? So I think where X-Men was like PG-13, big superhero ensemble, has the tone, I think, of the MCU today. It's very much more of a blueprint for the MCU nowadays. But yeah, this really helped establish comic book movies as being kind of like a serious kind of thing that could work as a movie and be for adults and not be too cheesy, and I don't know, like, and you could have the lead be a different race, and I don't know, it's just there's a lot that really worked.
Marvel.
So, and Marvel proved Marvel could work as a feature. Yeah.
Now, Ryan, is it a common misconception that Marvel is a lot more comic booky, where DC is a lot more dark? Like, I feel like this proves that theory wrong alone.
Well, you got to remember what came before this, which was those several very comic booky DC Batman movies.
Yes,
so.
And then the Superman movies, which are very not dark.
Yeah.
But was there distinguishing traits that made them differ in the comic form that you know?
That's what I meant.
In the comic books, Batman was always dark. As far as DC, Superman was always very light. That's the sun to the light to the darkness. I mean, those are always contrasting in those sense in the comic books. But no, I mean it's really in the non-comic book world that you start to see something like that happen, like the Adam West very goofy series.
That's what I was gonna say. If Batman was dark in the comics when they made that TV show in the '60s, that must have been a departure.
That was a departure of someone going a different route. I mean, the comic book Batman movies from the '90s. Yeah, I mean they definitely departed and just kind of went their own route with those. But
no, and I feel like. I mean, at this time, when DC was big, I felt DC was more playing it safe. They had their Supermans and their Batmans.
Yeah.
That was out. They weren't like branching out to too many Green Lanterns at this time. While I think Marvel had to like make a stand, make a difference. The fact this movie made is actually saved because Marvel was going through bankruptcy, and that's why they sold a lot of their properties for cheap. When this movie was made, they started buying up their properties, studios buying up Ghost Rider, Fantastic Four, The Punisher, and started making all these other movies which aren't as good. But the thing is, these sales actually kept Marvel afloat, and like I said, I believe it launched them into features.
When you look back, it's kind of interesting that. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's kind of interesting that the studios didn't take more of a gamble on some things. Like, the fact that DC only did Batman and Superman movies, they never did a Wonder Woman back in the day when they could have. They did do a Supergirl movie, but there's a lot of other characters they could have went with, they could have given a shot. I mean, even beyond Green Lantern, I mean, a Hawkeye movie. I mean, oh my god.
Whoa,
I'm losing it today, guys.
I wanted to start with their big stars.
A Green Arrow movie, a Green Lantern. I mean, they could have done a smaller version, just like they do with Blade. I mean, for Marvel, I mean, I guess for a long time they wanted to stick with their big, A-list characters, even Marvel as well. But
that's it. That's like, I mean, after Batman stopped. After those Batman stopped, they want to just reboot Batman instead of starting with something else. It took a while for them to do a Wonder Woman. I mean, they did the Green Lantern, and then they didn't do as well critically for them. So
it was a short
credit. Well, that is Cape Seed Free bringing this to you on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'll say this: I felt like Suicide Squad was a big risk for like DC to me, just because
it shouldn't have been.
Well, no, but I mean, the fact it's not a traditional superhero. I mean, it's a villain group. It's technically a villain group, which
it is. It is a villain group. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you, but I just want to point out again that on this Tuesday, it's pretty damn cool that it happens to be the 20-year anniversary of Blade that we're watching.
To the day.
Why did you just touch me?
It made Blade even that more special. Thanks, Wesley Snipes.
Very cool.
Yeah,
thanks, Wesley Snipes.
Pay your taxes. Hopefully, we'll see you in more stuff soon. It's a lesson.
I don't think Wesley Snipes fighting the way he does anymore.
But,
yeah.
well, that's it.
This was a special one.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool to revisit that one. Definitely.
Definitely.
So hey,
Especially-
Netflix,
yeah.
Blade, Netflix, Blade.
Yes.
Yes,
Netflix
absolutely.
Blade.
Yeah,
So I
this
wanna
is the
say-
year of Black Panther. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Okay.
guys.
Let's do it.
KC3 signing out.
Sign out on this bad boy.
Bye, guys.
Signing out. Signing
Good job.
off.
KT free.
Thanks for joining.
Peace out.
Just until next time.
Yeah.